ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track. And ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
Da, 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 da! You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy! Seriously? Yeah. It's showtime.
Well, the time has come, the wait is over, and the bets are closed. Hopefully you've placed your bets on our best and worst of 2000.
Hope you got good odds.
And 17. Boom! Rants and Raves time here on Mad About Movies. Deliberations have ended.
Yeah.
Mine lasted weeks. Yours was OJ style. It was 2.5 hours.
I wasn't sure until this morning on my ranking. Yeah.
Brian has prepared multiple graphs, and no joke, he literally has multiple pie graphs over here.
Is this recording? No recording.
No video right now.
I'll post pictures later. Yeah.
But we have met all in the same location for our Mad About Movies, best and worst of 2017.
We should say the location. We're at a FedEx Kinko's.
FedEx office.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Gosh, they didn't,
I'm having some more graphs.
They paid a lot of money to eliminate that Kinko's branding.
I don't know why.
Because, that makes it way easier to find. Everyone knows that.
Those give me so much anxiety because that's where I would always go last second when my printer wouldn't work and I'd have to turn in a paper in college. I'd be at a FedEx Kinko's at 7:30 in the morning. So when I walk in, still to this day, I'm always like, even if I have no clock.
You're just stressed.
I'm just stressed.
Kinko's was a lifesaver on that stuff. For a lot of money.
Yeah.
Also good for printing counterfeit money.
Okay.
Which I know nothing about, obviously. Well,
oddly specific.
We are here. I know, exactly.
Somebody search Ken's house.
It was, it's been... We are going to counterfeit.
Also, they're shredders. Great place to dispose of a body. Just
saying. I have no experience.
That's beside the point. It's beside the point.
Just heads up.
I think it is the point, Ken.
That's the exact point I was making. It is. It has been a good year.
It has.
Movies. This has been
2016.
Probably
sucked compared to
the hardest year of doing the show so far, which I think this is number 5 of lists we have done, and it'll be the 6th full year coming up.
You see this list?
Of covering it.
I'm always making.
And this for me has been the toughest top 10 list. That I've had to create or do that. It was not so hard for the bottom 10. I felt like bottom 10 was pretty easy this year, but the top 10 was way harder than I had anticipated. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. Or to me, which we'll talk about, we have a lot of awards to give tonight. Not awards, a lot of lists. We're doing our best of the year.
We're doing our sponsored by BuzzFeed. This episode is
sponsored by ZipRecruiter, actually. So thank you for ZipRecruiter for jumping on board and sponsoring the Mad About Movies podcast.
I'm always
making this episode a possibility. So what we're going to do is we're going to give our bottom 10, then we're going to take a break and give our top 10 later. But we have some ancillary awards this year. We have
most improved player.
We have most valuable player. Actually, is an actual award.
Coach of the year.
Newcomer of the year. We have most underrated movie, most overrated movie, and then biggest surprise and biggest disappointment.
And most movie. It's going to be a weird
the most
one.
movie. Yes, which could be anything. So, I think
we all
maybe
know it's Geostorm.
Just give an overall overarching view of the year before we give our lists. Just roundabout kind of summarize the year, Brian, on how you kind of felt about it.
I think 2017 was awesome. I thought it was a great year. Like the box office wasn't great because summer movies disappointed a little bit. So that's one way we judge a movie year is we say, well, the box office wasn't great. We say, well, that doesn't really matter necessarily as far as the quality of the films. There might not be like some years you have like a number one, or maybe if you're lucky, like a top 3 that is like these are all time great films that we're going to be talking about in 10 years, and they're going to be Criterion Collection DVDs and all this sort of stuff. I don't know that this year has one. There's a movie that I think has a chance to be that. Because of its cultural relevance, but overall, I'm not sure that it has that. But I think I know for a fact I gave out more A's this year than I ever have before, and more high A's.
For a fact, because you keep the stats.
I do. Since 2004, I have kept my stats. I've never given out more than, I think, 4 A pluses in a year, and I gave 6.5 this year, which is
A pluses. Wow,
yeah, pretty impressive. And A's overall were really high. The comic book movies were great this year. I know comic book fatigue is pretty strong for a lot of people, but the actual movies themselves, minus Justice League, were really, really good this year. The blockbuster, Star Wars sort of disappointed in some ways, but it was very huge culturally and whatnot. I think it was a really good year, and almost every week there were very few periods this year where we had more than a week where there really wasn't a movie that we wanted to go, or that we were at least willing to see for the plot. You know what I mean? Like, right. In some years that's not the case. Last year I felt like there was at least 2 months, like a month-long stretch where I was like, I don't even want to go to see a movie right now. Every movie out is just
normally how I feel.
It was the least draining year in a long time.
Yeah, this year was
emotionally.
It was great. Almost every week there was something I was excited to see, and that I enjoyed for the most part. We gave out a lot of really good. And I'll say this: when I sat down to make my worst list, there was only 14 movies. I saw something like 85 movies this year. There was only 14 that I was like, yeah, these are terrible movies that I need to find a way to get into my...
For me, it was honestly hard.
Lower than normal.
And I did limit my worst list to ones we've talked about on the show or ones we had to see, because I haven't seen a lot of bad movies, and there may be some that I mentioned. But for me, it was harder for me to find the worst of the year list and rank those than it was, here are the best movies, and I can rank them accordingly. So it was very top-heavy on strong to quite strong, I would say.
Yeah,
and
I would say there was nothing... For me, there was a lot of good, very good movies.
Right.
Like a very easy top 5. But it didn't really have that 1 or 2 incredible forever movies for me.
Exactly.
But that's fine. You can't ask for that every year. But
I think it did.
Really
but
good.
That's a problem, is that there were 2 or 3 of them that were equally strong, and had 2 of them not come out, maybe there's one that we would talk about. I just think, I agree. I think my top 5, I could say that's the best movie of the year, and here's why. I could explain that away, and here's why it's going to be relevant.
Yeah.
But
if you graded if the top grade a movie ever in the history of movies could get was a 100, and you just save that grade for like the true masterpieces, I'm not sure that there's one of those this year. And maybe there's not.
But there's a lot of 96s,
right? Exactly.
So
maybe time will tell. Maybe we'll look back and be like, wow, that was why weren't. Maybe we'll have numerous In Bruges this year. It's like, man, where was the Academy on that one that year? You know, and
Geostorm.
That'll happen. No, Geostorm came out in 2007. I'm pretty sure. I saw it, and I'm pretty sure it came out in 2007. So what we're going to do here is our bottom 10, and we're going to start off with this. This is sometimes the funnest and sometimes the most depressing part of wrapping up the year. But like I said, very top heavy year on B plus A kind of movies, and some. Look out for our honorable mentions and top 10s, because it'll be heavy into that.
And we should say, this year, we typically kind of keep our list secret, but this year for both of our lists...
I haven't seen yours yet.
You haven't seen it yet?
No.
Okay, we're going to try our best to not discuss like the same movie 3 times, so we'll try to keep it moving, so this doesn't turn into an 8-hour podcast.
Yeah, which nobody wants, for sure.
Especially not us.
So I'm going to go with my number 10.
Okay.
And I think at the time, we did do a review on this. I think at the time I said, this is the most mediocre movie I've ever seen. And for me, given the quality of the original property and given the potential that it has cinematically and franchise-wise, it was a big disappointment. So my number 10 for bottom 10 is The Dark Tower. Maybe one that I hope they never try to spin off or anything like that. And I honestly remember nothing about it. And that's not a good thing. So my number 10 for bottom 10 is The Dark Tower. Is that rank in your bottom?
I saw it. I didn't do the episode with you guys. I was coming back from Florida, or I think that time. So I had seen my own worst movie because I was in Florida. But I did not like it. I think I gave it a C-. So when I did see it on DVD or something, and so they didn't quite crack. It was definitely not a good movie, and definitely was completely incoherent. Maybe most of all to the cast. I don't know that the cast knew what they were actually doing in that movie, but it didn't crack my top 10 list. My bottom 10 list.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Mine either. It was a very like C-, C+. It didn't quite get the failing grade from me.
Sure.
Because like I said in the episode, it's like 61 minutes long, which I give it. Yeah. That bumps it up 2 grades for me because it wasn't 6 hours long.
I think it got a pass for me. But
somebody is going to make a really interesting TV series with the Dark Tower at some point. It's going to happen at some point, and it's going to be. We're all going to be like, "Oh, this was what," and we'll completely forget that Dark Tower, the movie, ever happened.
Agreed.
I already forgot. So that was my number 10.
All right, I'll go next. So I have 2 honorable mentions on the worst.
Okay.
Chips and Geostorm. Both
Didn't
terrible.
see Chips.
I never saw Chips.
Chips I saw on a plane. A couple of these I saw on planes through work, and I probably only saw about an hour of it, but it was terrible. But same with Geostorm in that I think they knew they were making a terrible movie, so it's hard for me to. I don't know. There was worse stuff.
Sure.
My number 10 of the year is The Circle.
Okay. It might come up later.
Okay.
We'll skip that one.
We'll skip that one. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Brian, what's your number 10?
All of my honorable mentions are on one of y'all's lists, so I'll leave those off. Again, not to me, there just weren't a ton of just awful movies. My number 10, I don't think either of you guys saw. The week you guys did Dark Tower, I did Valerian, the city of 1,000, or I don't even know. The
1,000 Planets.
1,000 Planets, there it is. And it's atrocious.
That was the most dead on arrival movie.
Yes, yeah.
I'm like, I see the trailer, like, that's going to suck.
It's
like, I hate to judge it, but like, you could.
Oh, man. You can tell.
Cara Delevingne gave it away.
You could tell Bassan really, really loved this property and really wanted to make this movie, and it's such a bomb that it's literally ruining companies in France and whatnot because they funded it independently and it made no money even overseas, and so it's the ramifications of working with Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan are going to take down companies, which is pretty spectacular. But
glad I didn't see that one.
I despise
and don't plan on it.
It's so bad.
That might have to be a Netflix late at night. It's free kind of a thing. I'm never going to go out of my way to see that one.
Yeah.
Good one. My number 9 is Suburbicon. Maybe the biggest disappointment of the year. I could
shows up later on my list.
Surely put that into that category. When you look at Clooney directing and Matt Damon and Coen Brothers and everything, I'm like, wow, this could be really cool aesthetic and everything. Not at all. And it was a huge failure on pretty much every level. So Suburbicon is worth a mention for one of the worst movies of the year. And I'm sure Matt Damon could take this year back if he wanted to.
Gosh, big time.
The Great Wall, Suburbicon, and Downsizing were his big.
Yeah, it was a tough
and
year.
some comments in the media that were not taken
and
didn't go
definitely
well.
Not having a good year at the end.
PR-wise either, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Suburbicon for me was right on the outside. It was like number 11 or 12 or something.
It's
going to show up
on
later.
mine. It shows up on mine. We can talk about it a little more then if you want. Number 9 is one only Brian and I saw again. I saw it on a plane. Brian saw it. Whatever. It's the Book of Henry.
Whoa. Yeah, that's number 8 for me.
Okay, so let's talk about it now since we're at 8 and 9.
Where are you on? Stand on this? I'm on the Trevorrow train now, Brian. How much longer is this going to...
No, it's safety not guaranteed. It's great. Jurassic Park, I don't think is his fault. Jurassic World, whatever. See, I've already forgotten. I don't think it's his fault, but I certainly don't think he brought anything to make that work.
Yeah.
This is the movie where you just want to say, what?
Well, it's a fun
What was happening here? It seemed like 2 different movies. Okay, this is how I described it.
I found it to be a joyful romp.
Yeah. If you've never seen Book of Henry, I don't know why no one did.
So, spoiler alert.
But spoiler alert ahead. It is 2 movies kind of crammed into one. One is like a very heartfelt, touching family drama.
Yep, about a really smart kid who kind of takes care of his...
And a really dumb mom.
Really dumb mom, yeah.
No, they drive that home. She is not bright.
Yeah,
she's a little bit slow.
She's a little bit slow.
And then he dies.
Very abruptly in the middle of the movie.
He has like a brain...
And then there's some abuse going on next door with another kid.
Yeah.
And the mom finds his journal.
And the Book of Henry.
The Book of Henry. Yeah. And it's going to teach her how to take out, basically kill this abusive dad next door.
Kill Hank from Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the plot.
I'm going to publish something this week with publish. It sounds so douchey. On the blog, I will have it. On the blog, I will have a
blog.com.
I wrote my worst 10, and I'll put that up on the blog sometime this next week. And I wrote it. You know that episode of Friends where Rachel makes the dessert, the traditional, and the pages get stuck together.
Yes,
that's what this movie is to me. Like it seems like we're rolling along with this family drama, and then they turn the page.
It's shepherd's pie.
It's just something else is shoved in. They're like, okay, yeah, and now you're gonna kill the next door neighbor. Yeah. It's so wheels off and weird.
It got Disney out of the Colin Trevorrow business. So.
Yeah. In hindsight, it almost seems like he did not want to make a Star Wars movie, so he made this. Just like, I gotta do something to get out of this.
It's very punk rock in that way, if that's true.
It's so bad.
Good plan.
So, what movie should we talk about next?
My number 9 is Justice League.
Okay, so mine 8's Justice League. So let's talk about that now.
My Justice League for me is number 3.
Okay. Oh, okay, that high up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we save it then, or should we talk about it now?
Let's save it. We
can save it till my top. Yeah.
Okay.
Do either of you have All Eyes on Me on your list?
No.
That was a terrible movie.
It was
the Tupac movie.
That one was in.
That was in a Ken's movie draft. Remember?
For me, that one falls under the should never be theatrically released. Should have been on Lifetime or BET.
And it is now. There's a USA show coming. About the investigation of the murders of Ian.
The most blatant knockoff of the OJ.
Yeah, but it's good because it's got Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, I had All Eyes on Me at number 10 on my list until I remembered that Geostorm was not on my list, and then I had to bump it up.
Geostorm is not on mine. Wow.
Geostorm was on mine, and then I remember the Circle existed.
Yes,
knock that out. So yeah, that's All Eyes on Me. Okay, so Kent, any other ones that are maybe on your lower?
My number 8. This might be number 1 on y'all's. I don't know if you've probably completely forgotten it. Is King Arthur: Legend of the Sword?
Oh, that didn't make mine.
Number 6.
Number 6. Man. Okay. Atrocious.
Yeah,
completely atrocious.
Gotta love the giant snake, though. The best part of all Arthurian legends is the snake.
There's nothing that took itself too serious other than that movie. Tried to be fun while simultaneously being very unfun, and was way up its own arse, and I'm done with King Arthur. Very King Arthur heavy year for some reason.
Brutal, man. It was brutal. And like, again, I said this on the episode, but I'm not a huge Guy Ritchie fan, but I do respect, he does have a very unique style. You know kind of what you're going to get, the fast pace and the fast talk and the quick camera cuts and all that sort of stuff. That could have made this movie like a C or a C+. Just that sort of style, because at least then you could say stylistically it was entertaining. That doesn't exist within the movie. It doesn't make any sense as to why you even bother bringing in Guy Ritchie if you're not going to make a Guy Ritchie movie. You know, it was awful, and the Charlie Hunnam as a movie star thing probably should come to an end.
Yeah, I think it already is.
Probably stop doing that.
So that's my number 8. What is y'all's number 8 if we haven't already mentioned it?
We have on mine. My number 8 is Justice League.
Okay.
So we'll save that.
Okay. Justice League for you. Number 8 for me was Book of Henry. So we'll come around about.
All right, what's our 7? Ken?
My 7 was not theatrically released, but I'm sure we've seen it, is the Netflix original Bright.
Oh, yeah.
Bright.
Should have put that in mine.
Starring Will Smith.
I saw a good hour of it.
Okay.
Which is more than I see.
Did you see a good hour of it, or did you
saw a solid hour, maybe an hour 10. Okay. Terrible.
Yeah. It's not good, man.
Why? Netflix is
made me doubt everything I've ever experienced in life. So
they
that's
spent $90 million on that movie, and then they're right into the second one.
They're doing the second one?
Oh, yeah, rolling right along.
The fans loved it, though. Like, I will.
We had a lot of people.
We were in the minority on not liking that, and
how?
Let me say
it's
this:
so bad.
I understand the need to do something original, A, and B, something that crosses into a Connie type audience. I don't know if bringing Will Smith in is the right move. I don't think kids like Will Smith. I think he's way more for the adults. And just trying to make it political and have all this messages. It was way too in your face with that stuff. Like, if you're gonna have orcs and fairies and all that in it, just let's just have fun instead of trying to say something. Honestly, that's what offended me the most, is that it was trying to say something. Like, this should be nothing but fun.
Yeah, Bright was in my honorable mentions, and I think that is less of a compliment to this movie as it is to just kind of speak to how bad some of these movies on this list are for me. Mm-hmm. David Ayer. We have reached a point where because early in his career, I thought this guy, I think I like this guy a lot. I think he has a lot to say. I don't think that anymore. And Bright was the icing on the cake for that. This guy has a certain sensibility and an aesthetic that honestly, I kind of find offensive. I don't like anything that he's doing at this point, quality-wise or messaging-wise. Max Landis is the worst. Everyone agrees with this at this point. He's maybe the worst person. And if you're going to... Man, Will Smith has entered the Johnny Depp stage of his career.
They all have, man. That's just... We have to understand that is a common theme now. It's every movie star... It's just not as sustainable. It makes you really appreciate someone like Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise and people that are able to push through that because that is so much more rare.
Yeah.
It's think about this. Think about the biggest movie stars of the 90s. It's top 5 probably in terms of gross. Are Hanks still going strong? Cruise still going strong? And after that, it's Will Smith.
Harrison Ford.
I don't know.
Action movies.
More 80s though for him. His peak. Because 90s he only
we talked about it, or we haven't released it yet, but I mean, all those Clear and Present Danger and The Fugitive and Air Force One and all those were...
But I do think Jim Carrey's a bigger guy.
Star. Mike Myers
and Sandler. And none of those guys have...
I think Harrison Ford, even at his peak, was appealing to adults much more so than the kids. So,
So I think...
It happens, yeah.
The popcorn cinema, at least 5 of the top 7 are just like in this insane rut. I mean, Mike Myers doesn't even try anymore. Jim Carrey's like, I don't know,
completely
a shaman.
Crazy. Yeah.
Sandler's just cashing checks.
Right.
And Will Smith seems to not be able to read the room well and do what people want him to do. He's always behind on it.
He's always behind, and this was someone, even Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad I hate. I think it's a terrible movie. He, to me, was by far the best part of the movie.
Well, besides Leto, obviously.
There were parts... Was he in that movie? There were parts when you felt like, okay, Will Smith's giving it. Like, he's trying. He's trying to bring something to the table here.
No,
Bright is the exact opposite of that. There's no trying.
You're guilty
whatsoever.
Of the good by comparison. It's like, all right, we'd rather
totally
see
true.
Jai Courtney or Cara Delevingne or what Leto's got going on over here, or this Margot Robbie thing with... Harley Quinn or Will Smith's doing great. You know, it's just like when
there's definitely something to that. I think at the very least you could say for Suicide Squad, and for all the problems of that movie and for all the foolishness of him even being in the movie 10 years too late, of making that turn way too late, he at least was trying. And Bright, it was like, dude, you clearly do not care
I'm
whatsoever.
pretty sure in Bright that it says in the screenplay, like, Will Smith awakens in the bed from Independence Day and then walks into the living room from one of the other movies, and now he's in the locker room from now he's in the car from Men in Black. Like, it's just like they took 20 scenes from Will Smith movies and put them all together.
Yeah,
and it was had attempts at the humor of those movies, but not. Well, no, I'm done talking about it.
It was
I'm done forever. Okay.
Bright so that was 7 for you.
That was my number 7.
Richard, what's your number 7?
My number 7 was All Eyes on Me, so we talked about that.
Yeah.
Bright guy?
Bad idea. Don't make that movie. All Eyes on Me just doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, not at all.
Number 7 for me was Geostorm.
Okay.
Which is the most Gerard Butler movie of all time.
Gerard Butler is his filmography. There's a new one out now, the Bank Heist one.
Yeah, Den of Thieves. Yeah. Can't wait.
Unbelievable. So you had Phantom and 300 back to back, and you're like, okay, this guy, he's at least got
something. Got a little Jason Statham-ness to his
mixed with Russell Crowe kind of thing, and then it's just immediately wheels off.
Gosh, he will take, I think, literally any movie that comes his way.
Obviously, you haven't seen Den of Thieves because it's
not
great.
Not yet.
We get the advanced screener like you.
Yeah, I camped out.
Yeah, dude, Geostorm. We mentioned earlier. It seemed like it should have come out 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It seemed like if you're not going to get kind of the same with the Guy Ritchie thing, if you're not going to get Nolan Emmerich to do it, then what's the point?
Roland
Emmerich. Nolan Emmerich is the guy from Americans. Anyway, if you're not going to get him involved in it, then what's the point? You know,
it to me that seems like the last gasp of a dying breath of a industry of disaster genre filmmaking.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if there's any big budget. A storm happens, or these world's ending by some natural cause movies anymore. I think we're good here. I think that's what, at the end of the day.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, hopefully.
What's your number 6, Kento?
My number 6 might appear on your lists. And the only reason Bright wasn't higher on the list is because the movies ahead of it have some kind of built-in fan base or some kind of remake or some kind of rehash.
At least Bright's original.
At least Bright is an original trying to do throwing something against the wall.
Sure,
might have failed, but at least I can respect that. Okay, so number 6, this could qualify as number 1, is The Mummy remake.
That's higher on my list.
It's simultaneously killed an entire cinematic universe that had yet to begun when it came out.
That's why I like it.
It's going to be so confusing.
Tom Cruise couldn't
when people watch that in the future when it has that logo at the beginning.
Dark Universe. They probably it wouldn't surprise me if they took that off for
have to, right?
The DVD version, but wow, that one offended me. But we'll talk about it later.
Well, it's my number 5, so why don't we just talk about it now? Where's it on you, Brian?
I didn't put it on my list.
It's funny that
I think it's a bad movie that didn't qualify.
That's fair.
Against some of these.
So let's just talk about it now. Yeah, I was part of my movie draft because I just invest in Cruise, everything he does, and I make money. But there are some occasional whiffs. This seemed like a cool movie universe, and then the minute it starts, you're like, oh no, it's not. This is bad idea, Genes.
Yeah.
It's executed really poorly. The action's not thrilling. The horrors aren't scary. The entertaining. That's with an H, by the way. Horrors. There we go.
The other one was entertaining.
They were. Yeah, that was a weird scene, though. The makeup. It was just so flat. So, it's such a. It was such a. The reason it's higher on my list, and maybe like Geostorm's a worse movie, but The Mummy's attempting so much more, and it's such a hard swing and a miss, like on a strikeout pitch.
Yeah.
Like you're really trying to hit a home run here, and you just swing too hard, and you literally spin around 3 times and fall on your butt. So that's why it's higher on the list.
It's just so cocky on their front to we're making a dark cinema. We're going to open the movie with this logo.
The rule from now on is, learn this from Warner Brothers and from Universal, is don't even think about a cinematic universe until you just make a movie.
Yeah.
And then if it kills it, and it establishes a tone that people would like to see more of and expand more of, create a universe with the tone of that movie.
Yes.
But like Marvel did, right? They kind of made Iron Man with maybe the hope. But remember, Disney didn't even own Marvel when they started production on that. Right. So that wasn't even really
basically an indie movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they had, that Robert Downey was down on his, they couldn't get him insured to even do it. And Favreau was coming off of Zathura. People forget that. That was not like huge announcement.
Right.
Marvel Cinematic Universe. It starts now. Here's 14 movies. It was like, well, Iron Man was really cool and that tone was awesome. Yeah. What else can we do with that kind of comedy?
Where can we go from here?
Yeah. And so that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And so don't play in your cinematic universe, because then you just fall flat on your face with something like this.
Exactly.
And then it's so embarrassing. So let that be a lesson.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know. Dark Universe aside, I think this would have been critically and commercially panned. And
I agree, but then you don't have
at least you're not in the hole.
Exactly.
Right.
Then you don't have all this.
But
let
the
this
context
come out.
of announcing. They just sent like a cast photo like the day before it came out with like, here's Bardem, here's everybody that's going to be in this, Russell Crowe, and
it's such a weird picture too.
Arrogant.
All right, so my number 6 is I don't remember what this was called. I just put numbers next to it because it feels like it. I put Pirates 18. The Pirates, whatever it was.
To me, it didn't register on my bottom 10 because it wasn't any worse than the last ones. I'm just tired of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
just, I thought it was really bad. It's the same as The Mummy. It was bad to me, but not as bad as some of these others on the list.
It's just,
I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it was just such a cynical, desperate, horrific film. And so,
speaking of Javier Bardem,
exactly, not a banner year for him either. I think he got divorced.
Jack Sparrow.
Control your R's. Okay, I'm going to put it on the list now just because of that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, it's just like the decline of the Pirates series, movie to movie, is so depressing because that first one still holds up so well. It's such a great popcorn movie.
Yep.
And then everything after has been sequentially worse and worse. Brian, you got a number 6?
Number 6 for me is King Arthur.
Okay.
And it's we talked about it a little. It's awful. It's awful, and it's just, gosh, at the very least, that should be a TNT movie. Like, it's on, it's fine, I'll play this. But it's like 6 hours long to begin with, and then it's not. I don't think I could sit through it again. It's so bad. So that's 6 for me.
All right, 5, Kent.
Hitting the top 5, Kent.
Yeah, number 5 for me is Baywatch.
That's higher on my list, so let's save that.
Number 5 for me is
okay. Let's talk about it
Either
now.
way.
Let's talk about it now. We can talk about it now.
Yeah, Baywatch.
Another
again,
one of my movie drafts.
Two of
my 4.
We need to pay
I
that
still
off,
didn't
man.
lose, Ken.
Yeah.
So deal with that.
Yeah.
2 of my top.
That is true. You had one movie, literally. That's all. I swung for the fences. Okay, so Baywatch again. A reboot, rehash, reimagination.
Should have worked.
Should have worked. Good cast. Good approach. I can say that. Like, if you're going to go raunch-com, I think they could do that. But
the 21 Jump
the jokes weren't funny.
Yeah,
I hate to say that, but that's really where you steered the ship wrong.
If you had told me that 2 The Rock movies would come out this year, and one would be really fun, and
one will be Jumanji, and one will be
Baywatch, and one's really fun, and one is just terrible. I would have bet everything on the other way around.
100%, same thing.
Because the Baywatch idea seemed like a funny, because it's not a property anyone cares about. It's like, this is funny, like 21 Jump Street. Let's make this an R-rated comedy. Yep. This can be, and you can do kind of a Fast and Furious with a lot of jokes and beautiful women and beautiful dudes, and this is great. What a great idea. I still think that's a great idea, and then it was executed so poorly. That's why it's my number 2.
So all you have to do is be funny. That's it. You completely forgot that part of the equation.
You left that part.
I mean, they spent, I don't know, 25 minutes. In my mind, it feels like, because I've been haunted by it, with that guy's junk stuck in a lawn chair, and just like, gosh, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. I will never be. That guy is in Molly's Game. Have y'all seen Molly's Game yet? He shows up for like 3 minutes in Molly's Game, and I graded it down 3 notches because he showed. Like, I'll never be able to see him in a movie again without being like, that was the worst part of a terrible movie.
Yeah, that was disappointing. Just because it had potential, and anything that has potential, it fails miserably, always makes it on at the bottom 10 for me. So
brutal.
Baywatch, number 5. What about your number 5, Richard?
Mine was The Mummy, so we'll just skip.
Okay.
And
mine was Baywatch.
Okay.
So my number 4, I will go to is Power Rangers.
Oh, not in my list. I forgot this.
Remember Power Rangers came out this year?
Yeah. It was March. Yeah.
Gosh, that feels like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Done a lot of mescaline.
Problem with this kind of goes. We were talking about on the VIP feed earlier today in our AMA about DC and what went wrong there. Why make Power Rangers super gritty and dark? I think this is a kid's property. Make it bright, fun. Fun is the key word. And they went the Chronicle Fantastic Four route of, we're going to gritty this up and give it an origin story that's way more realistic and all that. Like, it's Power Rangers, guys. It's not that hard.
Yes, one of the bigger mistakes of the entire year, movie wise, is making that to the point that I couldn't take Cooper to see it because I have zero. I missed Power Rangers. I'm too old for Power Rangers. I have zero nostalgia attached to it. Cooper gets into Power Rangers because it's on Netflix. There's like 9,000 different Power Rangers series on Netflix,
and they're all produced excellently.
Yeah, I mean, they're all terrible. So if you're going to make the movie, and in the movie, I think it made me the angriest when it would do the little cheesy bits here and there. And you're like, just do this the whole time so I could have brought my kid to this and have some ability to sit through it because it was torturous. I hate it. I had it as my honorable mention before I bumped things back.
No, it's bad. You know it's bad when there's an R-rated short starring James Vanderbeek as Jason online called Power/Rangers. That is exponentially better than this. And it's like, if you're going to go dirty and gritty, go all out and make it R-rated. That'd be fine. Or make it for kids. It's just such a weird in-between that they couldn't figure out. Like, they made it for people that are 13 to 14.
Yeah, like, who aren't going to go see
these kids aren't going to go see this. It's bad. And the toys look awful. Like, the designs are awful. I just think it came and went. And that's sad because, again, a lot of nostalgia attached to it and potential for multiple movies if they did it well. But
it's up there with The Mummy as far as sinking a potential franchise. Like, they have
like 6
7 or 8 movies, and they can't do it because it made no money. So,
all right. So my number 4 is Suburbicon. Okay. We talked about it briefly earlier. So disappointing.
Why does it go so high for you?
It was very not good. Clooney is one of my favorite. Such a fun personality, a very good actor. He's in one of my favorite movies ever, and Michael Clayton really carries that movie. A really capable, interesting, classic actor. He is such a bad director. It's so unbelievable that they can.
He's lost it, man. He's got to refine it. Do you feel like there's a chance he can refine? He's got that Catch-22 miniseries on Hulu.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where he has to go.
Exactly. He luckily for him, I mean, it could be totally wrong. I don't know the man. but at least in persona, he does seem a little more grounded than a lot of people. So I think he will recognize, whereas like maybe a Will Smith never would, that it's not working and I need to adjust and figure out. It's not who you're working with. It's not, he's working with great people. It's just, it's a Coen Brothers, at least first draft of a script. It's Matt Damon. It's just tonally just awful. So he needs to stop directing, or maybe like direct some episodic TV or something like that. He has a good visual sense. I'll give him that. But
he knows, just because you know how to set up a scene or set up a shot and make a great environment on set, everyone always talks about, oh, he's such a great director to work with. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. That doesn't mean you know how to tell a story by directing.
I know how to set up a camera, and I'm a good hang.
He has a good, he's a great eye for what needs to be on screen, but I just don't think his Spielberg just craps like story. Like there's just something about the way his eye and the way he edits scenes together that tells a great story. I don't think Clooney has that sixth sense of being a director. I think he's a great actor, personality, but I think you have it or you don't. Greta Gerwig obviously has it. Her first movie, she knew what she was doing. She has that directorial voice. Sure. I just don't know if Clooney has that, and I'm sad for the guy, but I agree. I think he should stop while he's ahead, and for him, he'll say, "Oh yeah, we had a great DP, great editor, all this stuff." That's not why it didn't work. It's because your vision wasn't right. Sure. At the end of the day, sorry, But I love the guy.
We still like him. We'll continue to root for him.
And I'm excited about the Letterman show that he's going to do. But it's funny how Suburbicon's already become like a gag. They already made fun of it at the Golden Globes and stuff. So that's good. What's your number 4, Brian?
My number 4 is the movie I probably hate the most this year, is Mother. I viscerally despise Mother, and I really thought about putting it at number 1. I couldn't do it because the 3 movies ahead of it have zero, they have no virtue whatsoever. Mother, I guess you could at least say, is ambitious. So there's that, and J-Law's not terrible in the movie, and she's in the movie, so that's not awful. But just the movie itself, felt like being assaulted for 2 hours. I feel like it was. I very rarely definitely in the 5 years that we've been doing this show, I don't think I've ever left the theater angrier than Mother. It was something special. That's a
very special feeling.
Gosh, I hate it so much, and I don't think I'll ever watch an Aronofsky movie again because of it. I just can't. Well, I hate him so much. Even for I'm not doing it. Even for the pod.
You're out.
No, I'm out.
You're out on it.
I quit.
What's your top 3 time? Right?
Yeah.
Top 3 bad. Justice League is my number 3.
Okay, let's do it.
How do I say it? Not as bad. Not as bad.
It's an improvement.
Not as bad as BVS.
Which is the worst movie.
Literally includes a pivotal scene involving a piss jar. Well, I'll say that every chance I get on the show. Jar of pee. I just want to see the screenplay where it says
plot point,
and then a giant jar of pee in all caps, like as a character.
And poor Holly Hunter's looking at the script like, so what's the interpretation here? And he's just like, no, it's I mean this literally. It's a jar. It's a jar of pee.
And they had a PA like actually pissing it behind. It's got to be real.
It's Snyder pee. There's no question. It's Snyder
No, I hope there's some PA that goes and sees it with his girlfriend bragging. And he's like, by the way, that's my piss.
That's my piss.
Yeah,
if you look Snyder's really closely, pee is I put my initials on the jar.
There's just HGH flowing in Snyder's pee. Like you can visibly see it. Like this isn't going to work.
Like Dwight Schrute. You would remember this. It was green.
Yeah. Exactly.
It looks like slime from Ninja Turtles.
Justice League never should have happened. Batman is completely. No one knows what's going on there. Superman, I think. I'm not completely. Yeah, we need a mustache cut of Justice League.
The Snyder cut.
Yeah,
I want the mustache cut. I bet seriously, it would be a great hire for me if Superman just had a mustache and no one ever referenced it.
Yes,
and only in certain scenes when they did those reshoots. That would be so gold.
Gosh. So you've got your 2 main characters that are.
By the way, American Treasure. The MVP of the year is the production. Who was he doing? Who do you have the mustache for?
Mission Impossible.
Yeah. For them being like, nope. They are the MVP of the year. Like, you work around it. He's good. If you want him for
contractually obligated. I think that was Cavill. I think that was Cavill just being like, nope.
No, I think it
was Paramount.
It was
Paramount with Mission Impossible.
They wouldn't give him a fake stash?
No, they said no. He's under contract for us, and
because it was reshoots.
Yeah, it was reshoots.
It was reshoots. So they were like, you got to figure out how to get rid of the mustache. It's not our problem.
Yeah, what I want is a cut where they digitally remove the mustache on Cavill, but they insert a mustache on everybody else, so you just see it on Wonder Woman and Batman,
wouldn't make it worse.
Justice League, and
like the Mona Lisa with the mustache.
Yeah,
the only character that you have that's working in the entire thing is Wonder Woman. They did the best they could with trying to make her more integral to this movie. Didn't really work. And then you bring in these characters of Flash and Cyborg that were awful. Not to mention Aquaman, which and you put that all together, and you've got one really, really bad movie. And never should have happened. Should have just hit reset or said, hey, Zack Snyder. What they should have done, Zack Snyder stepped away to deal with the family issue. At that point, they should have said, all right, putting this on the shelf. Because Wonder Woman had just come out at that point, I believe, or was about to, or they at least knew the buzz on it, and said, see you in 2 years, we'll reevaluate, and maybe we do a Flash movie between now and then, maybe we don't, and we'll just kind of see. And we'll figure out what's going on with Ben Affleck not wanting to be Batman. And fans would have been fine with that. They've got the CW shows to tide them over. If you're really into DC, you've got enough content out there. And let Wonder Woman be their story of 2017 and reevaluate next year. And
come out of it with some goodwill.
And they completely failed, and it's winning all the Razzies, and it's just a complete embarrassment on all fronts. So that's always good. It's avoidable, though. It's a sad thing.
The funniest news story of this year is Ben Affleck saying, I literally did Justice League and Batman so my kid would think it's cool, and all my kid wants to talk about is Spider-Man. Like, he will not wear any of my Batman stuff. And he's like kind of passive-aggressively talking about it on talk shows, and it's just so funny to me.
Man, get out. Just get out.
He wants to get out.
Just get out of it. Yeah, so Justice League is awful. The Flash might be my least favorite character of the year. I just despised it. So I despise that interpretation, and he's not much better than Aquaman. You know, there's like probably 5 scenes in that movie that are competent, you know, and so it's a far cry. It's much better than Batman v Superman, but that is just such a low standard to grade something against. So,
agreed.
All right, so my number 3 is a movie, another airplane movie I saw that was atrocious. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's The House.
I saw
with
it.
Farrell and Poehler. 2 of my favorites. Love Amy. Love Will. So not funny. It's the guys that did Neighbors, right?
Yeah,
I hate them.
So.
I don't know their names. They're who keeps letting them make movies with people that are funny. They're the least funny screenwriters ever. They come up with these concepts that aren't bad, and then they just poop all over them. Like Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler, Casino in their house, great concept. Seth Rogen moves into a frat house next door, funny concept, and then it's like, but we're just going to write this in crayon. Oh my gosh, I hate them so much.
That's funny. I saw The House and I gave it like a C+. I laughed more than I ever expected to. I didn't think it was. I thought honestly, Richard, I kind of thought the opposite of it. I thought the concept was terrible. Beyond like, we'll put Poehler and Farrell together. Like I'm on board for that anytime. I thought it had, this is like, I don't know, 16% on Rotten Tomatoes or something. I think I laughed much more than I expected to in a 16% or a top 3 worst movie of the year for me, at least.
Well, you're obviously dumb and wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I love you. No, I'm kidding. You also like The Post, to be fair. So can you really be trusted?
We'll see that. I think Kent's going to be on my team on that one here.
That's
in a
great.
Little bit. So.
TBD. That I completely agree with all those sentiments. I'm ready to move on to my number 2.
I've got number 3 first. Though.
Okay.
This was one we did not review, and I only watched it because so many people said I put out, I don't know, some tweet about how our number 1, all of our, I think, number 1 movies should be on way more worst of lists than we're seeing, and a lot of people commented back and said that movie is much better than Emoji Movie. So I rented Emoji Movie because I was like, I've got to know.
How many hours are in your day, Brian?
Dude, you're
the busiest guy I know. How do you have time to watch?
Look, I've said this before. I constantly have the TV on. I am always consuming. I write with the TV on. I work with the TV on. All these sorts of. So it helps my ADD so much to have two things to kind of split the attention with. Here's the thing that's the worst, but like Emoji Movie
made them 3D instead of 2D.
At very worst, Emoji Movie should be. I see lots of movies like this because I have a kid.
Right, that's
like
fair.
I see movies that should be like.
Did he watch it with you?
No, and because I was like, I cannot let him see this movie
because you'll have to see it forever.
and then decide that he wants to see it again because it's just the buzz on it was so bad. It's the most cynical movie of the year. It is just messaging wise is awful. On top of being completely unfunny and really uninspired in the animation, and it's bad. It's to me, it's obviously since it's number 3 and not number 1, it's not nearly as bad as the two movies I have ahead of it. But just from the scale of like, it should be impossible to make a kids movie that is anything worse than like a C. You know, that should be really difficult. Should be really difficult, and they pulled it off.
They pulled School of Rock's own and Orange County's own Mike White out of retirement to write that movie.
Gosh, not great. He wrote another movie this year that was better, but not good. Brad's Status was not particularly good, but it was not Emoji Movie. Thank goodness. Gosh.
Yeah, he also did some TV this year, I think, too. I'm trying to remember. Oh, he wrote Pitch Perfect 3 also.
Okay.
So
big year for him. Big year for him.
Great stuff. Good thing he came out of retirement. No, I did not see Emoji Movie.
No one should, obviously.
Not into it at all and wish it never existed. But I've seen arguments that it's just straight product placement. It's like illegal product placement where they're like, oh, now we're going to Dropbox land.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, look how awesome Dropbox was at getting me to the next place. So they're basically saying buy these products without saying up front, this is an ad for Dropbox.
It was,
and like they're saying the names of the companies like that. Yeah. And it's not just like generic.
Well, and James Corden plays a very major character, so that should tell you all you need to know. I'm tired of James Corden, but anyway.
Yeah, you don't like carpool karaoke? I watch that every day, man.
I'm so exhausted.
Nothing has expired faster than carpool karaoke and anyone giving a crap. Okay, so my number 2, we mentioned it earlier, is, and I had a conversation about this with...
Took a sip of coffee and got all grounds, guys. I'll be right back.
Oh, that's great. We had a conversation about this with some friends at work because the movie The Post came up. A friend at work had just seen it and said, man, I saw The Post, really enjoyed it. We started talking about Tom Hanks and American Treasure Tom Hanks and what all he's brought to the movie. They're like, man, that guy is just so on the mark all the time. I mean, he rarely ever makes... I mean, name one bad thing I said, have you seen a movie called The Circle that came out literally this year? Yeah, nobody has.
Nobody had.
Because it was so bad that it came and went. It stars Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. It's about this tech company. It's based on a book and was maybe one of the worst movies
awful
in recent memory.
Yeah, that's number 2 for me as well.
It looks like it's one of the... If you made the worst Black Mirror episode ever, that's what The Circle is.
Yeah. You know, I read this book a couple years ago, and I thought the book was a little bit of a letdown. The premise was great, and then the finish was just not very strong, and I thought, this will make a great movie. I think it really could work well in the Black Mirror vein. It could really work out well. And then this is a movie, like, within the first maybe 3 minutes... I had heard almost no buzz on this movie at all. Within about 3 minutes, I was like, this is going to be historically awful. You could just tell from the tone and the way that it was, man, it was bad. And we've got to, we need to stop with Emma Watson as a leading lady. I know people liked much more than we did.
I'll say it. She can't act.
They liked Beauty and the Beast. I think she can be, I think she's fine if she's the third supporting player. She like that. What was that? The Bling Ring. She's very good in that. Nothing depends on her being good or bad. Like it's just she's in the movie and it's fine. She has no.
But she can't be that because she her price is so high. You got to pay $20 million to get her in there because the audience she brings. But she's not a leading lady.
We've built her up very quickly of what. Anyway, it's not good. She has no charisma on screen. No. And it's pretty. It's bad when it's really bad when you're in a movie. If you've got Tom Hanks and John Boyega and Patton Oswalt, and then you're just immediately like, that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I forgot
John Boyega was in that.
It really tells you a lot, I think, about both the script and the direction, as well as the star that's leading them all along. So it's
up to that time, awful. Up to up to the time that I saw it, and I still have one more movie to mention, but I said, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. Like, at that moment, I was like, this is the worst, in the theater, this is the worst movie I've ever paid money to actually see. And, man, I'm excited to talk number one. But what's your number two, Richard?
Mine number two was Baywatch, so we already went over it. So just hugely disappointing from a terrible idea. All right, number one is all the same, right?
First time ever, I think. We all have the same.
Oh, wait, no, my one of the year was 3 billboards. Wow. Transformers 49, as I put it. So I can't keep count.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
There's no way of knowing.
The Last Night. One of the most fun, for me, was one of the more enjoyable episodes that we've done.
They're always fun.
It felt like it was like a cathartic experience. Yeah. So many things that you just, even for Michael Bay, is stupid. There's just so many stupid things that happen in that movie that, and again, this is one where the standard is so low. Like all you have to do is just have robots that explode and hopefully are not racist, and you should be like, oh, wait, that's fine. It's a C+,
Yeah.
But, man, no, we don't.
The way... We don't think we talked. Remember the scene in the movie where they literally do the Suicide Squad thing of showing the names of the heroes and here's their abilities? It was like Nitro Zeus and all these like stupid the reggae like bot that they had. Like this is what are they? Oh, so offensive. Man. That movie was proof to me that this is just a cash grab. There's nothing. It defies all the logic of what a movie should be. From a technical perspective, I did a little video, which you should watch on our Facebook page, about the aspect ratios changing there's not a scene in the movie that lasts more than 2.5 seconds. It's the most offensive movie from a filmmaking perspective in the history of the genre.
It's just so cynical and haphazard, and we don't care. We just need to get this out so we can make money. Yeah. And they did.
And then they make them 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's not even like, let's make this as bare minimum.
That would be great. They should make these.
It's so overblown.
That'd be great if these started. The next ones just started being like
80 minutes. That's all we need.
Or like literally like 45 minutes. They're just like, we're reinventing this.
Who cares?
Gonna make. It'll cut the budget in half. We make this 45 minutes.
The next one is Reboot with Bumblebee with Haley Steinfeld and John Cena.
Get out of there, both of you.
Bumblebee.
It sucks. The whole movie. You can't see Cena.
Yeah. He's invisible because you can't see him.
I don't understand that reference.
So that was easily the worst movie I've ever seen. I never want to see it again. And it's, again, the worst movie in the history of the genre of filmmaking. So there's not much more you can say about that.
I think that in the 5 years that we've been doing this show, I would say it's like a head-to-head, for me, Transformers 5 versus Batman v Superman for the worst movie that we've
tough
that we've reviewed. I don't know where I would come out on it. I would probably put Batman v Superman as the worst because of the opportunity cost and like what should have been. Like by the 5th Transformers, I absolutely know what I'm going to get, and I think that's the only reason, by the way, that it's not at or near the top of literally every critic's or fake critic like us worst of the year list, is because they just say, well, I knew what I was going to get from that, and still, you should still be saying this is the worst movie of the year.
So go back and listen to our full episode on that if you haven't.
It's a fun one.
It was a fun episode.
It's like a therapy session.
We did episodes on all the ones on my list, I know for sure, and a bunch of the ones on theirs too. Yeah. So go back and listen to those. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're talking Newcomer of the Year, MVP of the Year, Most Underrated, Overrated, and our top 10 movies of the year. And we shall return. A fresh new year has begun. And if you're setting new goals for your business this year, it's extremely difficult to reach them without the right people on your team. Hi guys, Kent Garrison here on behalf of ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter has transformed how you go about finding qualified candidates. How it works is ZipRecruiter posts your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. And then, ZipRecruiter actively looks for the most qualified candidates, invites them to apply. In fact, it's no wonder that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate in just one day. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidate finding you. It finds them. It couldn't be easier with ZipRecruiter. They've been great supporters of the Mad About Movies podcast for years. That's why they are offering MAM listeners the ability to post their jobs for free. That's right, for free at ZipRecruiter.com. So head on over to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. ZipRecruiter.com/mad. You're looking for a job, you're looking for qualified candidates, head on over there, ZipRecruiter.com/Matt. ZipRecruiter.com, the smartest way to hire.
What up, man fam? It's Brian. I'm here to tell you about our newest sponsor, RX Bar Kids. As most of you know, I've got a kiddo, and like most parents, I sort of dread snack times. I want him to eat something healthy, but I also don't want to have to fight him over every single bite. Thanks to RX Bar Kids, I no longer have to worry about that. RX Bar Kids is a clean label snack bar made with high quality, real ingredients designed specifically for kids. They put the main ingredients right on the front of the packaging, and I know when I hand a bar off to Coop, he's getting 7 grams of protein without any added sugar. And hey, they taste great too. RX Bar Kids comes in 3 flavors: chocolate chip, apple cinnamon raisin, and Coop's favorite, berry blast. They're great for after school snacks or lunch add-ons, and I keep a couple in the car in case of emergency cravings. I've been eating RX bars for breakfast every morning for weeks, and when my work day is turning into a work night, a kids bar is the perfect pick-me-up. Find RX Bar Kids at your local Target, or for 25% off your first order, visit rxbar.com/mad and enter promo code MAD at checkout. That's rxbar.com/mad, promo code MAD. Thanks, RX Bar.
And shout out to RX Bars for that awesome read, Brian.
Delicious.
Great stuff. I love the dulcet tones of your voice. Okay, here we are. Top 10 of the year. And I think we should do our superlatives before we do that.
All right.
So we have most overrated, most underrated, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, and then some new ones of newcomer of the year and MVP. Most valuable.
Movpa. I thought it was pronounced Movpa.
Most valuable pup, the earbud. Okay.
Always.
Here we go. I'm going to go most overrated. And for me, I didn't understand the deal with this movie on why people cared or made so much money. And to me, it was just a complete waste of time. Most overrated for me.
Tale as old as
time.
Get ready to fight Kent, Ryan Woods.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, man.
Maybe the biggest waste of time in cinema history, considering they already made the movie and better in animation.
I know. It's a tricky thing, right? Because if these work, you have like the Jungle Book.
Right.
And hope it's ostensibly The Lion King maybe next year. But when they don't work, they seem really stupid. They seem like that Psycho remake. By the way, again, look out for
our remake of the Psycho remake.
Shot-by-shot remake of the Psycho remake coming theaters next year.
What? Think about this.
Right? This one went in the other direction a little bit, I think. Even though it was well made.
So too. I think it this is one that you really risk offending people with, because people's view is like Beauty and the Beast to me is those songs. They are. Sure. It is that that opening sequence, right? So you kind of have to have that stuff, but at the same time, you kind of have to make it your own. To me, it failed on both of those. It did the original songs worse than the animated version. At least do them better or add something new to the table. So let's get Emma Watson to sing them instead of this, Broadway trained voice that we had on the original one. I just, for those reasons, it made it one of the more definitely the most disappointing Disney remake that they've done. And I'm talking about Cinderella, Pete's Dragon, and The Jungle Book. I think those are way better than this one. I have faith in Lion King for Jon Favreau to make that something cooler.
Sure.
This was the worst example of what these movies are going to be, which is just a shot-for-shot remake of the animated ones.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, and it could
way overrated. And a lot of people that are like, "This is my favorite movie of the year. This should be Best Picture nominee." Like they actually made a push for Best Picture. I think Disney did for this movie.
Yeah,
awful. No.
Yeah, to me, it's just a lot of it was just not a very charismatic lead in a role that requires that, and a lot of that could have been fixed. With that, but it wasn't awful. I mean, it wasn't anywhere near my bottom 10 of the year. But you're right; it does. If people are putting it in their top 5, that's ridiculous. That's
I didn't hate it. I think I was probably higher on it than both of you guys. I thought it was relatively on par with Cinderella, but far beneath Jungle Book and Pete's Dragon. But for me, the biggest issue was Emma Watson.
Yeah,
I just
which was surprising to us.
I know, and we were excited, relatively speaking, coming in, and it just didn't. I don't know. She doesn't work in that role. But to your point, Kent, it is weird that it did feel like a shot for shot remake, and almost everything they added
fan-servicey
was not good.
It was not necessary. Yeah.
So
Name one song that was in the movie that wasn't in the original Beauty and the Beast. There were like 4 or 5 that were original to this movie, and none of them are memorable.
Yeah.
So that's not good. Yeah. So most overrated for me was Beauty and the Beast. What's most overrated for you?
For me, this is simple, and it goes along with you guys, because you guys are going to have it in your top 10 probably. It's I have to go with The Post.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be one of these other ones. But,
people are... I just don't think it's... As great as Spielberg did with this, and as great as the cast is, it's just not a very entertaining movie to me, and it just is... especially now that I've seen everything on the year, the fact that it's kind of being grouped in with movies like Lady Bird and Phantom Thread and stuff like that, it's just like, I don't know. It's not again, I mean, as much as I crapped on it during the episode, nowhere near my bottom 10 of the year. It's he elevates it to a least decent, but a lot of people have this, including you two, so I don't mean to throw too much shade, in their like top 5 of the year, and I can't fathom that. But that's just my personal opinion. Brian, what's your most overrated?
Mine is maybe dictated more by like the people that I know in my real life more than anything else. Y'all, I don't think either of you guys saw this one, and you're probably better off for it. The Greatest Showman,
man, I know
is fine.
I haven't seen it.
But people keep telling me it's the best movie of the year.
Dude, and that's the same with me. I don't love musicals, so I'm not the target audience. But I can appreciate it.
I like live musicals, fine. But.
Sure, I'm mostly in that same boat, but I can appreciate them. But my wife Lindsay is really into musicals and that whole scene and the dances and the choreography, and that's what she does as a hobby, is just create choreography and stuff like that. She's great at it, and she didn't love the movie, and we walked out, and I feel like literally every person that I have talked to since then, I can't even have a conversation about anything without The Greatest Showman coming up, and people just talking about how it's I literally have a friend who said this is the best movie he has ever seen in his life, and I don't, and it's gotten to the point where I walked out. Oh my gosh,
which some people respond to. I guess
there is no.
You are special. You're the only. Gosh, you're the only one like you for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. Like, look, the song and dance are fine. They're fine. I didn't think they were anything special. Jackman's. I mean, it's all good. A good musical would a script for a movie, an average movie is 120 pages. A good musical would find a way to incorporate the songs into that 120 pages. This one to me felt like
tacked on.
It felt like they took 120 pages and cut it down to 25 so that then they could cram in all the music. The music doesn't tell any story.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating because if you're going to have this experience with we're just spontaneously bursting into song, those songs should be expositional. They should be leading the action of the movie, etc. And there's none of that. So I walked out as like, it's fine. It was fine. It's like a B. It's a B minus. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, it's the worst movie I've ever seen because I'm so tired of having people tell me what a great film it is. I can't. I don't.
Here's my
understand
thing.
I can't get there.
I'm like Richard in this sense. He's like this with the Woods. I can't stand the circus.
Yeah, I don't like circus
any
either.
circus type.
Yeah, I'm off.
Subject matter. I'm out. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. By the way, P.T. Barnum was not a great dude. So it's weird. It's weird.
Neither was Walt Disney though.
That's very true.
So if we're gonna go down that road, that's dangerous.
Saving Mr. Banks.
Exactly.
Remember that a few years ago?
Yeah.
That would have been my most overrated of that year. Okay. I couldn't stand that one. That goes along the lines of one of the best movies I've ever seen, which I didn't completely misunderstood what people saw in that one. But
I didn't hate that movie at all, but I certainly did not think it was one of the best movies of all time.
And it makes Mr. Disney just seem like he's just a fun little guy.
Yeah. Tom Hanks.
I'm telling you guys, like every conversation I have the last 3 weeks, somebody has brought.
I've seen multiple posts on
I just can't handle
my Facebook. Seeing Greatest Showman for the fourth time.
Exactly.
Brought friends this time.
Unbelievable to me. I can't get there. I don't understand. Anyway.
Please.
So that's our overrated.
Most overrated. Yes, that's it. Most underrated for me. Haven't really seen. I have 2 backup ones here that if y'all don't mention, I would like to mention. But my main underrated one is one that I keep referencing in my mind when I keep thinking of movies that are kind of top 10. Honorable mention worthy, ones that were well done, that maybe flew under the radar, that maybe had a really good cast that people weren't paying attention to at the time, or if something else just kind of overshadowed it at the time, which I think this is the case for this. My most underrated movie of the year is Life.
Very divisive
movie. I thought it was a solid sci-fi kind of adventure movie. It had a really star-studded cast.
Matt
with Jake
Fry, friend of the show,
Gyllenhaal
is going to be so excited.
and Ryan Reynolds. I thought it was compelling in terms of one event leading into another event, like you said, Brian. At least if you're going to have those kind of things, it needs to push the plot forward. I thought the circumstantial things that happen in the movie really do well to push the plot forward. And there's a lot of kind of internal debate about what the crew should do on the ship during the movie and kind of the way they go about the situation, which I love to talk about. And it has one of the best endings of the year that I think works. Even if you see it coming, I think it works really well. And it ends on a really good note. And so for me, I mean, we saw that. I think we talked about it that week on the show, and I was like, wow, this was really well done. It surprised me how much I enjoyed this. But no one ever talked about it ever again. And
I honestly forgot it was this year.
Yeah,
seemed like
exactly.
a couple years ago. It wasn't even that long ago.
And that was really a strong movie to me that had it come out later in the year, maybe more people would talk about it. But again, came and went. And you feel bad for Jake Gyllenhaal because he makes so many movies that are like this, that are B+ to A kind of movies that, like Everest is another one, and that one where he was the boxer like a couple years ago, right? He does a good job, and they're decent movies, but they just fly under the radar so hard.
Boston Marathon one.
Stronger this year. Yeah. So
he'll have a hit here soon, though. He's doing pretty decent work.
Probably going to do Batman.
Life was like,
yeah, that's fair.
This movie will be a success in my eyes if it's a B-, and it was way better than that in my opinion. So that's why I enjoyed that one.
It's been interesting to see how many people had that on their worst of the year list, like listeners.
I've seen it on best of the year list.
I know it's been all over the place, and I thought it was a really solid B+, A- kind of movie, and it never would have seemed like the type of movie that people would go so both sides of the spectrum on.
Right.
So.
Didn't think people cared that much, but apparently they do. What's your most underrated, Brian?
Mine is American Made. That I love. We all love. We all like that one a lot. We love The Cruise. It was fun to see, especially right after The Mummy. It was nice to see him bounce back with something that felt cruisy.
He never stays down for long.
Never. He never will. When Cooper is 80, Tom Cruise will still be rocking these movies, and
Draymond Green will still be in the
NBA. Yes. Man, I loved American Made. It's not gonna. I on all these superlative lists, I kind of tended to steer away from my top 10, bottom 10 list, since we're going to talk about those movies plenty. So it's not going to make my top 10 list. It was somewhere in the 20s for me this year, but it was fun. It was fun to see him get back to something that really feels
grounded
and kind of cruisy in nature. and Lyman's excellent director.
Yeah,
I like anything. He's got a little renaissance going. I like it. And I like anything involving smuggling. So that's
smuggling is not like the circus,
right? Exactly. I'm a big fan of smuggling and smugglers in general. So cool. That was mine.
That was up there in mine. The one I'm going to say, not that this wasn't appreciated again, and it actually may show up later on. But I just thought, I don't know. I think Logan Lucky was a little bit underappreciated this year. I thought it was a really fun kind of romp of a movie that probably deserved a slightly bigger audience than it got.
Mm-hmm.
There is some weirdness to it, which I understand. Anytime you've got Daniel Craig doing what he's doing in that, and then Adam Driver or what, it's like maybe not as mainstream as I thought it was, but I thought it was a really fun movie that people stopped talking about immediately, and I don't know if it was release date or what, but I really enjoyed it.
The ones I had in my parentheses that I wanted to mention here for most underrated. Lego Batman movie. That one was really strong and really funny and well done, and came and went again. That's one you need that I've gone back and rewatched and was like, wow, this was really solid, and people should have recognized that more at the time. And another one is Detroit from Catherine Bigelow. It was extremely well done and very on point as far as its message and
bummed
stuff.
Everyone out.
Really bummed everyone out when it came out. It came out in August or September. Should have been an October or November kind of a movie, and would have been a lot more relevant in the conversation. But I thought it was really solid, well done, but hard to watch at times, but for all the right reasons, and a very good movie. So very underrated part of 2017.
I'll say Lego Batman's great. I've seen it a half dozen times at least because Coop loves it, and I still that's one I'll be happy to watch anytime. Detroit, I think I graded that as an A, and almost immediately started knocking it down the list for whatever reason. Like on my letterbox, I kept moving stuff ahead of it.
Yeah.
throughout the year, almost immediately. And I don't know if that was the time of the release or just the bum out nature of the movie or what, but I thought it was really solid, but it ended up nowhere near as high as I thought it might have when we initially reviewed it.
I was like, wow, this was hard to watch, but it's a great movie, and I think it'll be in the top at the end, but it didn't hold up. It didn't make it to the end.
Yeah.
All right, now, biggest surprise. This is a movie that maybe we were down on at the beginning that was better than we expected it to be. So biggest surprise for me, and two that I can mention, but the one I will mention is Wonder Woman. Just given the circumstances of where DC was at the time, given the setup of Batman v Superman, given we didn't know anything about Gal Gadot or what she could bring to the table, Patty Jenkins, everything was a question mark going into that. And we had doubts about all that, but those doubts were erased. Patty Jenkins was great. Gal Gadot was great. The story was very well constructed and even most compelling. And the best written of the DC movies so far, post Nolan, and offered a lot in terms of where it could go from there. So big surprise for me. I expected best case scenario, C+, passable grade. We move on to Justice League, but it was an A, what I graded it at the time, and huge surprise for DC to just randomly put out a great movie was shocking.
Yeah, it was. Wonder Woman was that one was, there was so much at stake at that point for DC, and it was not just a watchable movie, but a really enjoyable, pretty solid film, and Gal Gadot's great, and yeah, that was high on my list. My biggest surprise of the year was Jumanji, because that seemed like a movie that I just did not expect at all. At best case scenario to me, seemed like if this is like a C+, and I can just kind of forget that it ever happened, then I'll be happy. And turned out, it's doing great. Like, it still is winning the box office. Yeah. It's still crushing. The word of mouth on it is great. It is such a fun, enjoyable time at the movies, which, shockingly, that's important to people. And I thought Jack Black, The Rock was great. Kevin Hart was great. Karen Gillan was great. Jack Black was on another level.
Yeah.
With this,
he's the best kids movie actor of all time. Maybe
he's incredible.
Family movie actor.
Yeah. That was very high on my list.
My biggest surprise was just because I didn't know this existed for about 6 weeks, until about 6 weeks before it came out. Plus, it was a first-time director, et cetera, et cetera. And my biggest surprise, Lady Bird. I just thought it was such a great, and we'll talk about it later on, I'm sure, but such a great, wonderful little movie, and I didn't know it existed. Whereas, like, Wonder Woman, I kind of had my spidey sense up on that being good early. I remember, like, 2 years before it came out, we were like, if any of these are going to be good, I kind of like what they're doing with Wonder Woman, with the director choice.
We said it was the best part of the Batman movie.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this
but even
cool.
before that, we were like, this seems like this is actually, they're taking their time on it. Brian and I, because we're Fast and Furious nerds, both love Gal. The director choice was interesting. It was like a Marvel-style choice of like, let's not go get Zack Snyder. Let's go get something else. Hey, maybe a woman. Wow, what a novel choice.
And because
for Wonder Woman. And it was like, okay, if any of these is going to work, it's going to be this one. So it wasn't a huge surprise to me, but it was cool that it was so good.
Sure, I agree. I completely agree. To me, that kind of goes in most overrated of the year, in my opinion, too. Is Wonder Woman. Just like, I thought it was good, but it wasn't like this changes cinema forever good. Like
we were all super high on it right when it came out. I've seen it a couple.
I think it's solid. I think it's a very solid superhero movie. I mean, but I don't think it.
I won't speak to either of you guys, but for me, it's still finished in like my top 20 of the year. I would say if I went back and listened to the episode that we did on it, for me personally, I would say I was probably higher on it just based on the fact that it was watchable than anything, because at that point with DC,
it's not terrible.
I still think it's a really solid, it's top 20 of the year for me. I don't think it is one of the writers for The Ringer had it in like number 3 of the year. Something like, I don't think it's that good, but it's highly
It's a top 20 movie. It's not a top 10, and it's not a top 5.
I would agree.
Okay, biggest disappointment. Actually, the other one I wanted to mention for biggest surprise was John Wick 2. John Wick was just okay to me, the first one. I thought it was solid. Didn't think, it rewrote the book of action movies, which people were saying. John Wick 2 came out. I got it. I understood it. I was like, I'm all in on John Wick now. I get they understand what they're doing, and they do it well. It's tonally consistent throughout. And it's just, we're going to watch Keanu Reeves be Keanu Reeves. And to me, that convinced me. I bought in at that point. Sure. And that was something I was not prepared to do on John Wick. So that was a big surprise for me, is liking John Wick now. So biggest disappointment, for me, and we're only a couple weeks removed from this. Biggest disappointment for me was The Last Jedi. Just from what I had put it in my mind. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed, parts of it that I really did not enjoy. But I always hold Star Wars in such high regard. I'm waiting for a movie to be better than the 3 original trilogy movies, for one of those movies to be like, to be in the top 3 Star Wars movies. And for me, it's still the original Tridge and Force Awakens and this, and then the prequels. It's just nothing really that is, okay, that could be up to the par of The Empire Strikes Back or A New Hope. I could put those in the same sentence. The Last Jedi wasn't there for me, and I'm hoping with Episode 9 that we've learned from our mistakes and we know what people want at this point, and we can wrap it up with a big, tidy bow and be done and move on. So disappointment for me that The Last Jedi wasn't in my top 10. Honestly, sure. I want it to be so bad, and it wasn't. So
yeah, I mean, I was a little down on it. It didn't live up to the expectation that I was hoping it would, but it still for me was like the 15th best movie of the year. So I can't put it as a disappointment when there are other movies for me that should have been much better than they are over that.
Sure. What's your biggest disappointment?
Go ahead, Richard.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you'd given yours. You go ahead.
Mine's Alien Covenant. That I was so excited about. I was pumped to see Ridley Scott really go back to Alien, and Joel is I know he's flying out here right now to fight me. See you in the parking lot, Joel.
Bring your Angels gear.
Yeah.
Preferably Hamilton.
That you're still paying for it. I assume when you buy a Josh Hamilton Angels jersey, you have to put it on financing plan. Look, it wasn't bad. I will never watch that movie again, and that's a bummer because I love the Alien franchise. I want Alien movies to be great, and they just haven't been for a long time now. And that one, it just seems like a massive missed opportunity that I wish would have been significantly better. Just better all around.
Yeah,
that was my biggest disappointment. Battle of the Sexes was my second on the list. I just, it's fine. It's good. I think I gave it like a B+.
He's great in that.
He's great in it. She's very good in it. It just doesn't add up.
She was that well cast to me.
I would agree with that. I think she did a really good job for what she could bring to the table in that role. But it just didn't, to me, it didn't add up to the sum of its parts, I guess. Like, it kind of left me in a place where it felt like, well, it could have been a better sports movie, or it could have been a better social commentary. It doesn't really get into the
interesting thing about that, which is if he threw it. It doesn't really delve into that, and it's like, well, that's kind of the whole reason we're here. Right. I know it's kind of touchy because it seems anti-feminist, but in a way it was very pro-feminist, so you can handle that however you want to. Sure. There's a lot of angles you could take on that would be interesting, and they just kind of avoid it. So,
how about you, Richard?
My biggest disappointment of the year, because of my personal interest and everything, again, is going to be a post. I don't mean I'm not trying to but I'm just being honest. Like that was super disappointing to me. There's no reason that story shouldn't be at least in my top 3 of the year, and it didn't make my top 10. It's kind of like you guys with Star Wars, so it has to disappoint me there. But that's okay. I'll through many years of therapy.
My other biggest disappointment started out the year strong, but soured on it over time. Guardians 2, just in terms of pushing the franchise forward. I don't know if it did that for that much. It gave us a solid second entry into the franchise. It again knows the characters, and it's going to give you that. I think if that was somebody's first intro into Guardians, they would like it. For me, I wanted it to build out everything a lot more. I think it does to a certain extent, but also not. So for me, it was a little bit disappointing. Guardians 2 for what it could have been. Newcomer of the year. This is somebody maybe we weren't familiar with until this year, somebody that burst onto the scene and we could see some potential, or somebody that just had a solid year. For me, newcomer of the year, I had a couple of choices, but the winner in my eyes is Caleb Landry Jones.
Same for me, Kent. We could just go into mine too. So you and I have the same 2 on these.
From Get Out and 3 Billboards and the Florida Project. He was Dallas's own Caleb Landry Jones. He was creepy and funny and showed incredible range throughout the year in terms of what he brings to the table. This guy's got potential to be around for a long time if used correctly. I will say that. But this was somebody that came out of nowhere. I was like, who is this guy? and was really, really effective in the roles that he had.
3 billboards too.
Right.
Really,
really strong. So he's my newcomer. What about you, Brian?
Man, I had a tough time with this. There's a couple different ways I could go. I'm going to go, you guys both went Get Out. I'll go Daniel Kaluuya, whatever, of that. Because that was somebody, I was aware of Caleb Landry Jones. I had never seen, that I can remember, had never seen Daniel Kaluuya in a movie, and I thought he did a fantastic job.
He did. He's a little self-serious, though, now.
Sure.
This award stuff.
Sure.
He seems very, I get the chip on his shoulder a bit. I get it, but...
I would agree with that, but just from the movie wise,
he was great.
He was excellent. I thought Daphne Keane was a big breakout too with Logan. Had never seen or heard of her in anything, and that's a lot of physicality. That's real. I can't imagine there being many kids her age that can pull that off, and she did a great job with that. And I thought, just to highlight, it's not really a newcomer, but maybe just cast in a new light was Kamal Nanjiani. Like, I've known about him forever, but have never seen him in a lead role in anything, let alone a romantic comedy that was, I'm very high on. It's going to be on my top 10 list.
Great movie.
And it just kind
of... And he loves Hugh Grant like I love Hugh Grant, so I appreciate it.
Very important to us. So that kind of put him in a different category for me than I'd really seen him as before, and I thought that was interesting. So,
yeah, absolutely. Okay. The ones I was going to mention was Tom Holland, Spider-Man. I think he's strong. He could be around for a while. And Gal Gadot, who I mentioned too, could be considered for newcomer of the year. MVP. This is somebody who elevated everything they were in. Hard to imagine the movies they were in without them. For me, the MVP is Michael Stuhlbarg, who was strong.
He's in like 7 Oscar nominated movies. So
and Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
This guy is.
And the Post. He's great in the Post.
This guy always brings something great to the table. Always love seeing him. And he made the movies he was in better. What's yours, Brian? I have 2 more I want to mention.
Man, this was tough because I could have gone with the great performance in a movie that would have kind of not been as great without them, or the more kind of glue.
It's like
method.
you have to make the playoffs to be MVP.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So that was tough. I went with Adam Driver for Star Wars The Last Jedi because I thought he was fantastic in that, and especially shirtless. And the Logan Lucky bit, I ended up lower on Logan Lucky than you guys are. I'm glad that it's going to get highlighted in our top 10 list. The more I think about it, I hate when Hilary Swank shows up. I hate that ending, and it's, for some reason, that is the thing that has stuck with me out of that more than anything else, except for Adam Driver doing this ridiculous kind of out there Southern bit, and I loved it so much. It was such one of my 10 favorite performances of the year. He was great in that.
Yeah, he was my number 2 MVP. Another one, very strong.
James Harden.
No, Russell Westbrook is the MVP. Everyone knows that. Woody Harrelson, very good in 3 Billboards as well as War for the Planet of the Apes.
Better than Sam Rockwell, by the way, in 3 Billboards. I think
he's a very underrated part of it. But he could have been MVP. I think he extremely elevated the War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
Totally.
And that could go down as most underrated movie / performance of the year.
Steve Zahn was my number 2 because Bad Ape is... I like those movies. I like all those movies. I like that they've gotten better as they've gone. Steve Zahn took that from an A- to almost an A+ just by his weirdness and the way, just bringing his Steve Zahn-ness to a monkey somehow. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It was
best sentence of the year.
Put that on the poster.
Serious. Okay, that wraps it up for Superlatives. Fun times. Okay, here we go. Top 10 movies of the year. I'm going to run down my honorable mentions here. This was tough, man. There's some in here that I could easily put in my top 5 if I wanted
14 movies I wanted to get into top 10.
Yeah, exactly. So 15 for me. And this just shows you, for the people that say, you guys agree all the time on everything and you never differentiate on opinions, I'm putting Mother in my honorable mentions for best movie of the year for the reason, like Brian said, on what is one of the worst experiences of his life.
Not just in a movie. This was one of the experience I've ever had.
This is one of the few movies that I've seen this year. This year that were at least trying. That were at least trying to make an uncomfortable artistic statement. And so I respect it for that. I will say that.
But you gave it a C.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah. So did it grow with you over time?
Which I get. I'm that way too.
Yeah. At the time, it made me uncomfortable, but in terms of the entire year, it was one of the only movies, like I said, that was actually trying to do something beyond, do something artistic and make
its ambition grew on you.
Yeah, its ambition grew on me over time in the context of the year. So it deserves an honorable mention. It was not in my top 10, but it's like I need to mention that it was in consideration for just the way it went about itself. I respect it. Yeah, if you're going to swing for the fences, and
he tried really hard to make me kill myself. Very close.
It was extremely uncomfortable, but again, it was definitely an artistic statement. Another one I want to mention is Split from M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah.
First movie we did
of 2017, and stuck with me just for the feeling it gave me in the theater, the unpredictability of it, the twist at the end. I'm all in on Shyamalan doing these kinds of movies again.
Shyamalan, Cinematic Universe.
And his next movie comes out this year, which is the sequel to this, and I'm excited to see that. It's called Glass, and I'm excited to see where he goes there. So Split was always just one that, when I was thinking about experiences in the theater and watching a movie, that I kept going back to, saying, well, I'll just never forget my experience of watching that. So I want to mention that. I want to mention The Big Sick, which we'll talk about later. I want to mention 3 Billboards and Baby Driver. Didn't make my top 10, but they're worthy of a mention and will be mentioned later on for sure. So I'll hit my number 10, which we mentioned in passing. It is Logan Lucky. This was the first movie I saw this year. I saw this last fall.
That's right.
At like a preview screening. It was when Adam Driver didn't even have the CG'd one arm. He was wearing a green sleeve over his arm the entire time when I saw it. So it was. I really was strong on it then. I was like, wow, this was a really different movie. It was funny. It was well constructed. It was definitely something I'd never seen from some of those actors before. I was like, I'm going to be interested to see where this ends up at the end of the year when all these movies come out, because it had top 10 potential, I thought at the time. Just such a weird movie, man. Daniel Craig as Joe Bang is just one of the weirdest characters I've ever seen. Just the way he went about that, I gained so much respect for him. It was funny. It was unexpected. Steven Soderbergh needs to keep making movies, and I just love what he brings to the table. Very weird subject matter about NASCAR and a heist. Has the fun of Ocean's 11 with the weirdness of what Adam Driver brings to the table. So Logan Lucky, I just couldn't get it out of my mind this year. I wanted something to jump it, and Baby Driver was the closest thing that was like, this is top 10 worthy, but I feel like Baby Driver for me, after every viewing, I don't like it less and less, but there's less and less to discover. Yeah. Like at the beginning when I saw, I was like, man, I'm going to rewatch. There's so much going on with the editing and the music and with everything. Every time I watch it, there's less and less for me to go back and want to watch. Yeah. So
it's my number 9. I had to kind of decide between that and Baby Driver.
Yeah.
And I ended up going Logan Lucky too. It's aged better for me as well. Baby Driver is one of my honorable mentions, but I'm right there with you. I have it at number 9. I thought it was really fun.
So that's my 10. What's your 10, Brian?
My honorable mentions were Blade Runner 2049 that I know is going to get mentioned later. Ghost Story, which is going to come up later. I love The Disaster Artist more than both of you guys, I think. And that one was a really hard cut. Franco just really... that one was... I almost put that on the surprising list because of the tone that they struck in the movie that just completely... I didn't expect... I thought it was going to be cynical and dark and just really unnecessarily edgy, you know? And instead, they really, I think, had a very lighthearted tone. I enjoyed it a lot. And Spider-Man Homecoming was my last cut from the top 10 list. And the one that I've seen more than any other movie on this list because Coop loves it, and so we end up watching it quite a bit, and it's always very enjoyable. My number 10 was I, Tonya. That I
this
liked.
One might have made me hate myself more than
it's higher up on my list. It's grown on me.
The more same here. I had it as like an A-, whatever, a month ago when we did that episode, and I've brought it up since then. I think Margot Robbie's incredible. That's one of the, I don't know, 4 or 5 best performances of the year. And Allison Janney might be better than that. You know, the tone that they hit is definitely maybe it's hard to take in and to stomach at times, but I think it is also what makes the movie kind of unique and brings it a little bit more life out of it than it would have been otherwise. I think it very easily could have become a very ho-hum black comedy, quote-unquote, biopic that I would never think about again after 2017, and instead very, very good to me and really enjoyable outside of, domestic violence and stuff. But I think that was necessary. I said at the time, and I still believe, I think you had to have that be a part of it, or else it's false. It doesn't ring true to what actually took place there, and more so what the character is that you're building within the movie. So that's number 10 for me.
Very cool. My honorable mentions are It, which I really enjoyed, and The Big Sick. Both are narrow misses on my list. Both execute in genres that you never really see good romantic comedies anymore, and It was a really fun horror movie, and just really enjoyed both quite a bit. So those both are honorable mentions for me. My number 10 is A Ghost Story, which I had the good fortune of seeing in a theater.
Nice.
And it was just a really fun, eerie, kind of plaintive, beautiful theater experience that I enjoyed. And it's a really unique, low budget, cool movie that you guys should see. Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara. I always forget her name for some reason. And so it's just a really unique, touching, interesting movie that I highly recommend, and definitely in my top 10 of the year. And I guess with the kind of Casey Affleck stuff, maybe wasn't pushed very hard.
Yeah.
Plus the smallness of it, but I think definitely one of the 10 best movies of the year in my book. Kent, what's your number 9?
Number 9 is a late entry onto the list, but an easy entry into my top 10. This is a movie that it really fits my aesthetic, what I look for. It's The Florida Project. I love the honest tone that it took in terms of telling kind of real stories about real people. I love the gritty nature of it in terms of taking place at a real place. I love the kind of social commentary.
Is Florida a real place now?
Debatable. The social commentary kind of has on the poverty line of America and everything, and also the aesthetic that it had. I thought it was very well shot, and extremely. It was something that you can do with very little money, and that's a theme that will repeat throughout my list as we go on.
Sure.
But I love the DIY aspect of the movie, and so it bumps it up a grade for me, and I thought it was effective in all the right ways. The Florida Project. Easy entry into my top 10 at my number 9. Brian, What's your number 9?
My number 9 I know is going to come up on y'all's list higher. I missed the episode on it, which I'm bummed about, but I liked the movie quite a bit, and I thought the director you mentioned earlier, Kent, was that was a massive burst onto the scene. But my number 9 is Lady Bird, and of just a really fun, enjoyable, kind of a slightly different take on the coming of age without. Well, at the same time, not trying too hard, I think, to completely reinvent the wheel. I liked its quirkiness. I don't know. I liked that it was. I liked that it had a little bit of quirk to it without becoming
Juno.
Yeah, exactly. Which I love Juno too.
I do too.
I love Juno.
It would have been derivative if it had been more quirky.
I totally agree. But and Saoirse Ronan was great. She's great in that
Laurie
role.
Metcalf.
Laurie Metcalf is. It's very similar to me of the I, Tonya thing with Margot Robbie and Allison Janney, where you're like, man, that was an incredible lead performance that is 100% going to get a deserving Oscar nomination, and there was a supporting actress who was maybe better than her.
The Me Too thing, the coolest thing about the Me Too thing this year, kind of just timing-wise, I don't think this is a result thereof, but normally the supporting actor at the Oscars, that's the category, right?
Yes.
Where it's like, any 5 of these probably could win. There's multiple great, turns in it, because it's like, the meaty, fun supporting part, it always just lends itself to, and this year I think that's the supporting actress category more than the actor, which is cool.
That is always the weakest category to me.
This year it's
and
so
this year
strong.
It's not at all. So
because Metcalf and Janney are both deserving.
So that's great. I know you guys you were super high on it because it's going to be higher on your list. I don't think I could have gone any higher than this, but it's weird to say that. I'm not going to say it's overrated. That's not what I'm saying. I'm surprised, I guess, that this is the movie that is basically 100% because even the negative review on Rotten Tomatoes is that guy is a tool, and so it doesn't really count.
Who is
it? Cole Smithy, I think. But he basically said, "Well, I graded it against was it 100% movie or not, and that's why I said it was a negative. It was fine. It was a good movie. Anyway, I'm surprised that it is the movie that is such a highly regarded. Like I found
it really moving.
To me.
I did. We'll talk about it more.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Anyway, so that was my number 9. Richard, what's yours?
Yeah, my number 9 is we already talked about it, so we'll just skip me real quick. It's Logan Lucky.
Oh, okay.
Really fun, enjoyable.
That's one that I'm not seeing a lot out there. Maybe it's just our podcast, but I'm glad that we're giving it its due because I want the listener that listens to this to go seek it out.
Sure.
Because I don't feel like anyone's telling them to go seek it out but us. So.
Yeah.
That's such a fun movie, too. Yeah. Like, even for me, I don't even have it in my top, 25, but it's an easy recommend. Like, if anybody's asking, hey,
Friday night.
Exactly. There are so many movies that I would never tell everyone, you have to see a ghost story.
You got to go see Blade Runner.
You got to see it. You've got to make, exactly. You got to make 4 hours for Blade Runner 2049. But
there's 2 good hours in there, I promise.
I've suggested to a dozen people just immediately, you got to check out Logan Lucky. You'll love it. It's fun. So
cool. Well, my number 8 is similar to that, and it is Logan by James Mangold and with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for the last time. Very strong movie. I was very high on it at the time. I was like, wow, this is setting a huge bar for superhero movies in 2017.
Yes, man.
There were this is an above average year for superhero movies. I would say way above average in terms of the hit or miss ratio. It set the bar extremely high. It kept it there. To me, it's still the strongest, most original superhero movie of the year. It takes a different take on Wolverine than we've ever seen. It's the most standalone Wolverine movie that we've had, and I watched the black and white version, which they include in the Blu-ray, and it is awesome. Yeah. It's like makes it an even better movie. The fact that it translates so well to black and white. So I just loved that. Loved how it was done. It went R, and it said we're going on, we're going in, and it fit the characters. It didn't seem tacked on or anything like that.
And they kind of explained why it's
heartbreaking. Yeah, it was heartbreaking for multiple reasons. Professor X is involved, Patrick Stewart, who's great as well, and just a very, very solid entry into X-Men, and it made me re-believe in that. And so, for this being such a big year of superhero movies, felt it only necessary to highlight one, what I think is the best one, Logan. It's one I do feel like we're going to talk about in 10 years, as far as definitely. Wow, that was great. Logan is my number 8. What about you, Brian?
My number 8's The Big Sick, and it's kind of the way back of this year to me. Like this nice break in the summer with a smaller movie that has a lot of heart. I'm bummed out that it came out when it did because it's been forgotten. And Lady Bird kind of ate up its corner, I think, just got on and took that. I don't know, not necessarily that vote, but the attention that may have gone to that kind of movie. It ended up at Lady Bird.
Pissed people off with its release too.
Yeah, and that's a bummer. It was one of my favorite ensembles of the year for sure. I just loved that it had so much heart. It felt organic because it is organic, to the people that are in the movie. Holly Hunter's amazing. Yep. And she's not going to get one, but I still think she deserves an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting. It's just randomly, like you said, Richard, is like the first year in forever where that's a huge field. And there's just so many people there. But she's so great. Ray Romano's great. Kamal's great. So it's had one of the best jokes that I've ever heard in my life. In addition to just being overall funny.
A lot of good guys out there.
It's got Dag.
That's true.
You just can't.
It's the only movie with Dag.
You can't go wrong with anything in it, and it's another one similarly to Logan Lucky that I've recommended to, and it's on Amazon Prime, so it's real easy to be like, oh yeah, you need to go check that out, and I could recommend it to just about anybody, and I loved it. So that's my number.
Good one.
8? That's my number 8.
Yeah. All right, my number 8 is a little movie. Not much talked about, called Get Out. Have you heard of this?
We'll talk about it later, I think.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about it a little bit now, because you talk hard about some of mine later. Let me give at least my little bit of spin on it. The best theater experience of the year. A truly original movie, and and super fun. When it on not really fun subject matter, that's always a tough
when
thing
it intended
to
to be fun.
Yeah. So interesting, really interesting, and I can't wait to see more of Peele's work.
For sure.
All right, Kent, what's your 7?
Number 7 for me has been mentioned in passing, but I think I'm the only one that had it in my top 10. Is Blade Runner 2049.
Man, hard cut for me. It was a hard one to keep out.
This one for me, I can envision myself going back and revisiting this more. In terms of what I was talking about earlier with Baby Driver, that I discover less and less every time I watch it. For me, I feel like I'm going to discover more and more with Blade Runner. It was viscerally pleasing. I mean, it opened up new worlds in terms of cinematography, in terms of storytelling. I thought Gosling was superb. It didn't have a lot to say, and it didn't need to. I don't think it was just an experience of we're just in this environment for 3 hours and in this world, which I like. I like being taken to another place cinematically, and that did it for me. I'm excited to revisit this multiple times, and I can't say that for a lot of movies this year. I liked them at the time. I liked the experience, but I don't know if I'll ever go back and rewatch it. I'm excited for this, and just to go back and watch the original movie and watch this and compare them and do that whole thing. I'm excited about that conversation, which I wanted that to be with Alien Covenant. I wanted that to be with other movies of this year that just weren't. But Blade Runner was just, it's about as solid as I could. Denny is a great director. Roger Deakins is a great cinematographer, and just combining them is my dream for going to the movie. So Blade Runner, big, high-concept sci-fi I love, and it did it very well. So it's number 7.
Of all the movies I left off my list, I feel like that is the one that is most likely to creep back up over the next 5 or 10 years.
The George Lucas style, just edit it after the fact, even though
no, just leave it alone. But no, I mean, my lists are always fluid based on rewatches and just kind of distance from the films and stuff. That's the one that I felt I had the hardest time moving out based on I think in 10 years I'm going to appreciate it even more than I do now.
For sure.
It wasn't there was a lot of slowness in it, so I didn't have trouble. It's probably not even in my top 20. But I mean, I liked it, and there's obviously some incredible aesthetic things to it. But for me, there was too much slowness. It needed a better edit, I feel like. There's a great movie in there for sure.
You can for sure edit down to an hour 45. But like I said, I want to see Ryan Gosling walking for 45 seconds just in through a doorway. That's what the movie is. It's he walks from point A to point B, and it takes 45 seconds. We accomplished nothing story-wise there, but it just says so much about the world and everything. I just love that about it. So I'm excited. Number 6.
7.
7 for Richard, actually.
7 for me is Thor Ragnarok.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Number 6.
Let's see where that ranks for me on my list. I've made it a list of the top 35. So right now, Thor Ragnarok is 25.
No, it's pronounced Ragnarok.
Ragnarok is 25 on my list.
This was such. I think it's the best comedy of the year. Let me see. Do I have any? Unless you count
Big Six.
I guess Lady Bird and I, Tonya, maybe. But in terms of truly fun, purposefully comic writing, I thought it was awesome. And I'm not even I'm less of a superhero guy than you guys. I just thought it was so absurd to have this script kind of take place in this world, and so fun and inventive, especially coming off the Dark World or whatever the heck it was called.
No one knows.
There's no way of knowing either. But I just found this to be enormously such a breath of fresh air, even within the Marvel universe. Overly comic and that it's so smart too to let in terms of Marvel. And I try, I'm not the Marvel fanboy, but just business wise, it's so smart to recognize that the best things Hemsworth does is comedy. He does that comic thing so well with that character, and to just go all in on that Waititi to do this is so smart. It probably wouldn't work as well with a completely comic Captain America movie. They would never do that. Sure. And it's so smart to oversight on their part. And I really enjoyed it. One of the only movies this year I saw twice. I was bored one day, and I was like, I'll go see this again with Movie Pass. Shout out Movie Pass. I was like, I got a couple hours. I'll just go stop down on Thor for a little bit. So I really enjoyed it, and great superhero movie. I got one more ahead, and Ken already talked about it a little bit. But it's my second favorite superhero movie of the year.
The Thor was my number 6. I'll go ahead and knock out my 6 and 7 since it's the same. Thor was my 6. And the same thing. I saw it. I think I may have seen it 3 times in theaters, And it, along with my number one, were the two most, just straight across, my most enjoyable theater experiences this year. It was fun. It was big and bright, and the script was just incredible. And to really focus like you said, Richard, to figure out what the best things are that Chris Hemsworth does, and like kind of return him to this status where, you know, whatever, 5 or 8 years ago now, we said, man, that guy's going to be a movie star one day. And Taika Waititi finds the way to, like, oh, this is how we reframe him that way and make it.
I'm not interested in him in 12 Soldiers or whatever.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Me, he just fills that. He's just another good-looking jawbone guy. The move he has that no one else has is that comic Will Smithian kind of. Yeah. In an action movie, I can deliver the quips.
Sure, totally.
It's fun to see that.
And
this is barely an action movie, though.
Yeah,
it's like
totally.
And Kate Blanchett is.
Kate Blanchett was great. Tessa Thompson was incredible. And just little scene stealers with Krog, I think is his name.
Yeah, Krog was incredible.
Of thing. It was
Goldblum
was awesome. Goldblum is great. Was a blast. My number 7 was Coco. Which is, you know, it's so hard to grade the best of the Pixar movies and kind of compare and contrast against them. But it was beautiful, visually beautiful, emotionally beautiful. It was cool to see certain population that is never represented really particularly well in film done well, and to have it done at that level was great. And just personally felt very connected to it and emotional with it. Not to mention, it's funny, it looks incredible, the music's great, all the stuff that you want. If you're going to do, if we're going to talk about an animated movie, that's what I want to talk about, is one that is that well done and that touching and great to look at. And so, I'm very, very high on that one.
I am as well. I put it right behind. Right now it's number 25, I think I said. I put it right behind Spider-Man Homecoming and just ahead of Wind River in terms of the year where it ranked. Sure. But, man, I was really high on that, too, and I'm excited to see where they go with Thor from here. Okay, what do we got next?
Your number 6.
My number 6. I think I made a statement a couple of months ago about the Oscars and said, you know what, if they gave this movie the best picture, I'd say, you know what, you're right, let's move on and quit arguing about it. My number 6 is Dunkirk from Christopher Nolan.
That's my number 6 too.
Super freaking solid.
Yeah.
And I've heard complaints about how the structure was hard to follow and I didn't get it. But for me, that's what kept it. It made it interesting for me, is just the non-traditional way to tell the story, and how that reveal, you don't really understand how it's structured until the end, and they reveal more about it. But I just loved everything about the movie, the way it was shot, the way it was edited, the way the sound was, the acting, the subtlety, the sound effects, the score, everything. I think it's probably Nolan's most solid movie. And it's an argument to be made. It's the best movie of the year. It's not going to translate well on a small screen, so that doesn't work well for him at the end, but it's about...
I love that he tries to win awards, though, with big honking summer movies. I think that's such a ballsy move that no one else really does, and he always does. And I think that's awesome.
It maybe is the best, most well-shot movie in terms of dogfighting in the air with airplanes. Is that the word I'm looking for? Gosh, I mean, all the stuff with Tom Hardy in the planes is just breathtaking, and loved it every time. I saw it twice in the theater because it was such a great experience, and I'm pulling for that for the Oscars. That's my underdog pick for best pick is Dunkirk.
Sure.
So that's my number 6. Yours too, Richard. What's yours, Brian?
You go 6. I already
6
know.
was Dunkirk for me. That's what I was saying. So that's the same. I mean, it's a big brassy summer movie that is high art.
It highlights a story that we need to know about. That the British. It's big in Britain, but we don't know much about Dunkirk.
Big year for Dunkirk.
Yeah,
pops up in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, Darkest Hour as well.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a pivotal moment in world history, and this is done with the scope it deserves. With the director, one of the only directors that could probably make this, not both technically and like actually get the money to do it, and shoot it with practical effects, and know that people are going to go see it. I mean, Chris Nolan probably has the best reputation right now among like the general. He's like the general public's accepted auteur because of the Batman movies. People that don't normally go see these type of movies are like, it's Christopher Nolan. I know I'll like this. And Inception too. Like Inception is such a kind of high concept, dramatic film that everyone saw because it was coming off Dark Knight.
Sure.
And I like that he uses that to do these type of movies. So he's a really interesting filmmaker because he doesn't play on the my movie's going to come out December 2nd to 11 theaters, and then he's like, no, this is coming out in July. Screw you, and it's going to make a ton of money. And by the way, I'll see it at the Oscars. To me, I think that's so cool. So yeah, definitely number 6, really solid. In a lot of years, this would be higher. It's just a really good year.
Yeah,
and
higher for me.
All that. Yeah, that's great.
It'll pop up again.
Cool.
Yeah.
My number 5, or your number 6?
6 was Thor for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my number 5 has been mentioned. It was higher for me than y'all. Is A Ghost Story.
Yeah.
One I couldn't get out of my mind. Loved its simplicity. Loved its 4:3 aspect ratio that it shot itself in. It gave this photographic kind of aesthetic. Shot for, I think, $50,000 or something like that right here in North Texas in like a month in between when Pete's Dragon was shot and when it was released. So I loved the DIY aspect of that. And it was a very powerful story. A simple story, but effective in its visual puns. I don't want to say puns, but it's visual. They kind of tell the story of a ghost by using the old like Ghost in a Sheet, right? But that's just a way to tell the story. It's not actually a part of the plot, if that makes sense. So I loved that part. It's a huge risk. I read an interview with David Lowery about. He was convinced every day when they were making it that it's not going to work because it's like no one's going to buy the bit of if you're all in on the sheet ghost thing, then the movie's going to work. If you're not in on that, you won't understand it. And it's got maybe the best scene of the year or one of them with the pie eating scene of Rooney Mara just eating this pie, and it's like a one take thing, and
it's the only sweet she's ever eaten.
Right.
Most calories ever for her.
It's maybe this script. Might be 20 pages long.
Yeah,
seriously, there's nothing to it, and I just love that. They just went and they shot it, and it was just him. He just got his friends, like, let's go do this, and it was great, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And I'll revisit it multiple times. A Ghost Story, easy recommend for me, and got a little dusty in there watching that one. Yeah,
I loved A Ghost Story. I knocked it out of my top 10 based on I don't think I'm ever going to rewatch it.
Oh,
just
really?
Because it's not the kind of movie that I will. We watch so many dadgum movies for this show and everything if I am going to watch a movie on my downtime that doesn't relate to the podcast, it's usually going to be something.
It's not going to make me think.
Yeah, it's going to be something that's a little cheaper calories, And that was I might revisit it 10 years from now, but it's not going to be one that I'm going to watch over and over again. And it's hard to recommend to people, as I've found. I've had multiple people who listen to the show who are friends in real life
it and be like,
text me and be like, "What the heck's the matter with you?"
Yeah.
So anyway, but it doesn't diminish anything about that movie, and I'm still just so incredibly impressed by the way David Lowery made the movie. It's incredible, and I want to see somebody give him all of the money to make whatever movie he wants to make. So
yeah, he needs a big hit though.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like he hasn't been able to pull the audiences yet. He's like the movie nerd's favorite, but even Pete's Dragon
didn't make a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
RB 5
that was my number 5.
My number 5 is I, Tonya. So
nice.
I have a little higher than you guys. Wow. Certainly higher than Kent, higher than Brian. It kind of stuck with me. I think I gave it an A flat, maybe I don't know. Brian will know.
I can look it up.
I don't remember, but I definitely think higher of it now.
A minus.
A minus. Okay, I would definitely give this an A or an A plus now. I just think it's. Brian and I were texting about it. We both kind of at the same time was like, did we kind of underrate this? Because it really stuck with us, especially the performances. And it's just, I think, a really uniquely made movie too. The kind of conceit of it is cool, and I enjoyed it. I mean, there's some uncomfortable parts in it, but on the whole, the movie is very strong, and it's my number 5. Kent, what's your number 4?
My number 5.
Oh, sorry, Kent. Brian.
How dare you? My number 5 you touched on earlier is Logan, and I think that's
we're going to talk about that here in a second. Yeah,
so I've rewatched that a couple of times in both in the color and in black and white, and I'm still just struck by those 3 lead performances with Jackman and Stewart and Daphne Keane, and I love that character. I love X-Men. And so often we're just missing, sometimes by slight margins with the X-Men movies, and sometimes by big wide margins. It just feels like we're almost never quite on target. And this was like really discovering, like, here is how we should use this character and use this build this world. And I love too that it can kind of exist. It almost exists outside of the X-Men cinematic universe in a way, and I think that's cool. And it kind of, maybe what I hope is that kind of paves the way for other franchises for how you can do standalone darker movies, or you could do standalone funnier movies, kind of the way Thor
did. I think both are successful in their own way.
And then that can work really well. It doesn't always have to be the Marvel thing where there's 37 movies that are all feeding into one or something like that. And it works really well. And it's a little dusty towards the end, I think.
Yeah, it's super moving.
It works.
And those performances, really, like you said, are so good. We'll just go ahead and jump ahead. That's my number 4 of the year.
Sweet.
So we'll just jump ahead to that. That's one of my favorite movies of that kind of scale in a long time, and I was really excited for it. It was so fun that it lived up to the hype, and Jackman and Stewart and Daphne Keane are just phenomenal, and that's such a unique kind of unicorn of a movie.
Totally.
And the next few X-Men could be terrible, but I'll remember that's the one that will keep me going for a while, because I just found it to be really a unique, cool, beautiful movie.
Yeah, same.
All right, number 4 is The Post.
Same for me. Same for me.
Gross.
So now we ignore Richard for a little while, and
I think it was just contrary to Richard. I thought it was an extremely, above anything, an entertaining film. I thought it was well paced. I thought it was talking about a very difficult subject in the most approachable way it could. I think Steven Spielberg probably has a lot of knowledge of, I can make this a super intellectual movie, but I think he really tried to make a movie more for the masses. We did do an episode on it, so if you want our full thoughts on there. But I thought this was about as strong as you can get from Spielberg with this subject matter. And again, I think it's a top 10 Spielberg movie of all time. So we'll see where it falls at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But history will decide that, I guess. But I thought it was strong. I wish Tom Hanks was a little bit better. I wish Meryl Streep was a little bit better. I thought they were good.
Great.
I thought they were very good, but it wasn't just like, give them an award now for either of them. I still think there are male performances that are better, and I still think Saoirse and some other people were better than Meryl Streep this year. So I thought it was like Spotlight to me. It was solid almost on every aspect, and I honestly can't complain about most of that. So.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought the script could have been better. I thought the dialogue could have been spruced up some, and that would have helped. I didn't get I had a couple friends, and even Richard said it's boring. I didn't get boring at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I think it's boring.
Yeah, it's still a surprise.
No one could care about that stuff more
on this, but I loved the messaging and the theme. I love the concept, the importance of big journalism. Some people were kind of backlashing against that, and I'm here for it. I thought Hanks and Streep was better. I think she will be nominated for the Oscar, and she deserves to be nominated. I don't think she'll win. Hanks is not going to get nominated, and I don't know if he deserves it. I enjoyed his performance more, and it was fun for both of them. It was so much fun to see them doing something that I liked, that I could appreciate. I don't know. It's just fun to be able to appreciate Tom Hanks and appreciate Meryl Streep. The ensemble was incredible. And for me, this movie probably ends up top 10 of the year if the dialogue is like Tim the Toolman Taylor from every single person, just based on the camera work and the way that Spielberg moves. I mean, that was maybe my favorite thing of the entire year was the camera moves, and that's not. I don't feel like I'm super film nerd guy on that sort of stuff. I don't always notice that stuff. This time around, it was it was so prevalent to me and so noticeable that, gosh, I loved it. Yeah. So I'm very high on it, and it'll be one that I think I'm with you, Ken. I think it's a top 10 Spielberg movie, and I'm Mr. Spielberg, Richard. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
I visualized and ranked them out, and I was like, man, this is right. It was sat at number 9 on my list of top 10 ones. So did you do number 4, Richard?
My 4 was Logan, so we talked about that.
We're headed to the top 3 now, and
this is where it gets serious.
For me, this is where it was interchangeable. I mean, any of these could be number 1. My number 3 is probably the least of those, and it's The Shape of Water. I was very high on it to begin with. I'll just be upfront. Spoilers. If you've seen the poster, it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
If she didn't get it on with the actual lizard guy, I would be way higher on this movie. I just don't think like that just adds such an element of like Guillermo del Toro is like a really perverted weird guy. Yeah. You know, he has those thoughts. Like they had to get that in the movie. To me, it works on the most baseline love for another entity level where you don't have to literally get it on with the lizard.
You don't have to fill a bathroom with water.
You don't have to do that. Even that worked for me. The stuff with them swimming together and being in the water together worked, but like the actual, they just did it. Like they said it blatantly. She got it on. To me, that's the only misstep of this movie, and I thought it was aesthetically pleasing, and it was sweet and kind, and Guillermo del Toro, somebody I love and want only the best for him, so that's always good. Shape of Water. They're saying it's the one to beat at the Oscars.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
Man, I think it's going to come away with some wins.
To me, this is a movie that seems like Kent Garrison would love, but everybody else would hate and not understand. So the fact that the masses love this is shocking to me.
I'm amazed by that as well. It seems like it's the front runner for a lot of awards, and that is very surprising to me.
Yeah, it's kind of baffled by it. By that.
Yeah, no, I liked The Shape of Water fine. I really, really liked the first 2 acts and the third act, and I love Sally Hawkins. I think I would. It's so hard because that's a stacked category this year. I think I would vote Sally Hawkins for Best Actress.
Yeah.
Oh, but then there's Frances. I don't know. It would be very difficult. She had I think she probably had my favorite female lead performance of the year. I found her so charming and endearing throughout, and the sign language. She was phenomenal.
High degree of difficulty too.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not big into sea monster sex, but maybe a little. But it's just a little into it. It took a little too far for me.
Yeah,
a little too far.
So that's my number 3. What's your number 3?
Man, I had the same problem. I had 4 through 10 sorted. Actually, I had 4 through 9 sorted. 10, I had a little bit of trouble figuring out which was going to fall there. 1, 2, 3 were interchangeable for me, and so in a day, this could completely change direction. But number 3 for me, I put Dunkirk, which was an incredible cinematic experience. Everything you guys said about it is spot on. But just to highlight something different, to me, the thing that takes the movie from very, very good to a great movie is Mark Rylance, who that whole sequence with the boats is to me the best part of the movie, and it brings a little bit of emotion to a movie that is kind of devoid of emotion. That's for better or for worse. That's kind of how it is presented, and I think is why some people have had trouble figuring out like how to. Not necessarily great, but how to approach it. It is told kind of
3 perspectives: air, land, and sea. Right?
Yeah, and it's a little. But that the sequences with Rylance really bring it home and make it a human movie as much as anything else. And I don't think it plays as it's going to struggle again to win awards, probably. And it may struggle from a historical standpoint, even for me as a huge Nolan fan, because it's never going to be as fun to watch or as good on my 40-inch TV.
You don't have an IMAX in your?
Not yet. If this Patreon money would pick up,
I built a full IMAX theater.
But so that's is
film, not digital.
Ultimately, when I got down to the 1 through 3, that's why I put it at 3. I couldn't really decide between these ones, and I said, well, this one's the one that's going to be a little more difficult to appreciate in any setting as my ultimately my top two are. So it's number 3 for me. Richard, how about you?
My number 3 is another one that's kind of grown on me, but I really like it the more I think about it. And I think it's just watching in Bruges kind of helped me appreciate it even more. It's 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Frances McDormand, that's to me maybe the performance of the year. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I really love Laurie Metcalf too. Mm-hmm. But just phenomenal, and I just think that's a movie that when you walk out, maybe whatever you think about it will probably be the lowest you think about it. It just grows on you really well. I just think it's I found it to be really kind of thought-provoking and intelligent and interesting. So yeah, that's my number 3. I don't think it made either of your top 10, but I really enjoyed it.
It was in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think it's a very good movie. I will not be upset at any awards it wins. Just going on rewatchability and things like that, I just don't know.
Totally.
I totally respect it, and I think I gave it an A, so I really like the movie. What's your number 2? Are we on number 2?
We're on number 2. Yeah, we share number 2, I think.
We do?
Yep.
My number 2 is Get Out. And this is a movie that I'm surprised by how much acclaim it's getting, even at the end of the year. I thought it was a good, fun theater experience at the time. Obviously poignant in its satire and messaging, but it seems to have resonated throughout the entire 12 months of 2017. It brought us one of the best directors of the year, one of the best performances of the year.
Yeah.
Definitely a great twist at the end. Keeps you guessing. Funny movie, scary movie, everything you want. And just because it's the one that kept coming up all year, I couldn't not.
It's probably the movie of the year, even if it doesn't. Right. Even if it doesn't win Best Picture, it's the movie of the year.
I totally agree.
It's the Moonlight of this year in terms of I can't deny its cultural significance and how well it was done. And it, to me, when I think of this year, it'll probably be the first movie we think of when they made.
Yes, 100%.
To me, it says everything that this year had to say in movies. So Get Out. Yeah. It was hard for me not to put it number 1.
Same here.
It really was, but. Man, I really liked it, and I'm very surprised. Here we are at the end of the year. It's my number 2.
Yeah.
Never would have thought after I walked out of the theater, like, that's going to be your number 2 movie the whole year.
Man, and I think to me, because it's my number 2 of the year as well. I didn't get to see it in the theater.
You don't like these kinds of movies.
I know, I don't like horror movies, and I think, I'll say for myself, I feel like that's part of why I'm so high on it is because is it a horror movie? I don't even know if it is. Regardless, it's so far elevated from what I typically experience with a horror movie. I didn't get to see it in theaters. It came out the worst possible time for me.
And you were scared of it.
And I was very scared of it. That trailer terrified me. The movie, not nearly as scary on that front, much more frightening from a cultural standpoint. But I think this is the only movie from this year, to me, that has the chance of being like an all-timer 10 years down the line, because I think we will still be talking about this movie down the stretch. And the performances are great.
Why is no one talking about? Why is Bradley Whitford not getting best supporting actor? He was so great in that
category. Is always stacked. But he's great. Catherine Keener's great. Allison Williams is great. Jordan Peele really deserves some major thought as director as well as screen, just for the awards. I mean, it's an incredible experience. And I'll say this too: our friend Jason, he hasn't seen the movie yet. I keep telling him, "Hey, you got to watch this movie," and he made a great point. Said he's very excited about seeing it because he doesn't have a clue what it's actually going to be, and that almost never happens. You almost never get to walk into a movie now in 2018. And really not know at least a baseline of what to expect. And this is a movie that will completely, shatter those expectations coming in. I saw it in an Airbnb beach house in Florida, where I had a tiny door in my bedroom. So that was terrifying. Like, that added to this experience of I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But the twist is amazing. There's so many. He utilizes all the kind of practical effects that you want in a horror movie to make it work. He did those perfectly, and it's funny. It's a really funny movie on top of everything else.
It's very weird that Jordan Peele was the one to bring a horror movie to the front and have it be great.
Well, it just shows that heterodoxy is good. Yeah, and if you're a serious horror director and that's what you do, kind of end up all doing the same thing. And sometimes it takes someone from outside your medium to really do it a unique take on
totally
it.
Agree.
To know it, yeah.
Plus, comedians are smarter than everyone else.
He's a very talented director for sure. So get out to my number 2. What about you, Richard?
My number 2 is a movie. It was the last movie I saw this year. It's probably no surprise to you guys, but I had to think about it some, to be honest. But I just can't get out of my brain the last few days. It's my favorite director, so obviously. And my number 2 is Phantom Thread.
Cool.
Loved it. Way funnier than I expected it to be. Didn't really know what to expect at all from the trailer. Just knew it was Daniel Day-Lewis making dresses and PTA. It's so beautiful. Ken, I know you've seen it. Brian hasn't seen it yet.
I'm going to go tomorrow.
Cool. I'm interested in your thoughts. It would be funny if you had to add it to your 10 because you didn't think you'd have to. But it's just like an old school, interesting movie, and there's something just rich and lavish, and it's not complex. It's not like The Master or Inherent Vice or something. It's just like it's a pretty straightforward story, and it's fun to just watch PTA just PTAing all over the place. And
that's funny because I felt like this is it has the most PTAE premise with the least PTAE vibe. Like while you're watching, just like you said, I was telling Brian before we were recording, I was like, "This is you feel like anybody could have made this. It's nothing specifically Paul Thomas Anderson.
The coloring of it to me, he
absolutely.
does those manual color adjustments, and it just to me it reeked of him a little bit.
I honestly expected it to be. Right now, where I ranked it at number 15, right ahead of Split and behind 3 Billboards on my overall list. Maybe I wanted there to be more of that weirdness to it, and there just wasn't. And I expected it to be a little bit more, bring a little bit more to the table than just the story, which I thought was great. I thought Daniel Day-Lewis was great. I thought what's her name? The new
I keep forgetting it too.
She's a newcomer, so I don't remember her name, but she was great. To me it was solid, but it didn't have that little oomph over the cliff that I get from PTA most of the time. That's like, man, that's like that little tinge of originality that he brings. I didn't get that, but
Vicky
thought it was Vicky. Yeah, she was great, but I thought it was a very solid movie, and definitely in my top 20 of the year in terms of the story. I thought the story was very well done, and there's a scene, Richard, where he's kind of measuring with the tape measure and doing all the little measurements. I love that. I love the delicacy,
and that's so.
And I wanted more
like
of that,
dancer.
like the close-ups on the needles going through the thread and the little intricacies that Paul Thomas Anderson could capture. I got maybe 2 or 3 of those in the movie, and I wanted 25 of them.
Yeah, but I liked him kind of stripped down in this, and it's not a 3-hour movie about dressmaking where it's like, I'm just going to tell this story and quickly get through it. It's kind of like I don't know, I really, really liked it.
Maybe it's because the fact that Daniel Day-Lewis is retired because of this.
I don't think it's because of this.
PTA's said multiple times.
As a joke, though. He's doing a bit. But
he's like, so did Jimmy Kimmel's like, so did he retire after or before? He's like, after.
No, I know. But I mean, he's always retired. I mean, I think it's a
known fact.
Because he also wrote a thing in Financial Times that was like, I killed the world's greatest actor, but don't blame me. Like he's doing it. But he said that they had fun on it, though. That in that long form he did with I think it was the Simmons podcast. He also did a Nerdist, 2 of your faves, Kent. And he said like, no, it's I love working. Daniel's fun. He's in character. But Daniel Day-Lewis co-wrote this with him. He said, he came up with Cyril Woodcock and all that kind of great stuff. So
Reynolds Woodcock,
Reynolds Woodcock. Sorry, is the girl. But so it's just I think Daniel Day will be back and. Like 10 years doing something. I just think
buddy cop movie.
Yeah,
to me this is like I don't know what to compare it to. To me, this is David Fincher doing
Downton Abbey.
No, to me this is David Fincher doing Panic Room. Like it's good, solid stuff, but it's not in the top. What I would immediately think of.
I loved it.
I thought it was really.
I'm
solid.
excited for Brian's take.
Yeah. All right.
Well, was our number 2s?
Number 2s. And my number 1. And when it came down to it,
I just
kept thinking to myself, what movie do I have the least problem with for the entire year? What movie I had the least complaints about?
Same.
What movie was solid from beginning to end?
It's perfect.
What movie kept my interest? What movie was well directed, well shot, well acted, good script? And at the end of the day, Lady Bird was that for me. That's my number one. I just thought this was. I think it's worthy of the 100% or whatever it got. Again, this was just about as solid as it could get. It was sweet. It was set in a time where Richard and I were growing up in high school, 2002. Random time for a movie to be set.
It's like Lebowski being in 1980s.
Yeah, super poignant for us.
Best
where we are.
Dave Matthews Band this year.
And
minus my car.
And I hate to say that, but of all the movies in my top 10, I was probably least offended by Lady Bird. It's like, I can't, way to put it. If I'm going to make a list of complaints, the list will be the smallest for Lady Bird. And I thought it was charming and funny and everything that I wanted it to be. And I think it'll live in infamy for that, for just being one of the highlights of the year. 5 stars for me.
I can't wait to watch more Gerwig movies. That's what I'm most excited about. So that's fun. And I liked her. I like her as an actress a lot, but I'm so excited about her as a director.
Yeah.
And this is such a personal movie that maybe this is all she's got, which is fine. That's a heck of a...
Sure. That's fine. Sure.
But it's wonderful. Saoirse's incredible. Laurie Metcalf's incredible. Mm-hmm. This is just a masterful movie. It's my favorite of the year, too, Ken. I'm right there with you. Number ones.
What's your number one, Brian? I don't even know. Wait. Let's go over
count them down.
The rest of our movies. So these were movies that I had mentioned that didn't make my list. American Made, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, I, Tonya, Last Flag Flying from Richard Linklater, War for the Planet of the Apes, Wind River, Spider-Man Homecoming, Okja, The Disaster Artist, Atomic Blonde, and the other ones I mentioned, Split, Three Billboard, Mother, and The Big Sick in my top 10. So those are ones I wanted to throw in there that
good year.
I'll remember this year by. But number one, Brian.
My number one of the year, and again, it was tough. It was tough to pick from these 3. You guys touched on it both in your honorable mentions. I don't know if this is going to be one that I'm going to your point, Kent, that I'm going to discover new things about. I do know that this was my favorite movie of the year. It was my favorite experience of the year in a theater. I don't always, just a little inside baseball, I don't always, when we do these lists, go, my number one of the year is not always my favorite movie, and it's not always like the movie that I would vote for as like best picture. Sometimes it is, sometimes like 2015. What won that year? Was that The Revenant and Spotlight? Spotlight won. I would have voted Spotlight Best Picture. Star Wars Force Awakens was my number one movie of the year. I kind of blend the concept of favorite and top when it comes to this kind of list, if that makes sense. So I don't always go favorite at the top. This was one, I think, kind of for me, the deciding factor. This was my favorite movie of the year, and it's kind of getting forgotten now that award season's rolling around. I'm bummed by that. I wonder if it had come out a little later, if maybe it would have a little bit more legs, at least as far as screenplay goes. But number one for me is Baby Driver, and it's the one that I saw it 2 or 3 times in theaters. I've seen it 2 or 3 times since. Every experience with it may not be new. I may not be discovering something, but it's so much fun to me. That opening 20 minutes, to me, was the most enjoyable scene of the year. I love it's fun to me whenever we get a kind of like I mentioned with Kamal with The Big Sick in a little bit of a different light, but I like when we get an actor or an actress who's like one performance can kind of change the way we think about them, or at least for me, and that's how I felt about Ansel Elgort or however I don't even know how, but I had kind of was out on that guy as a performer entirely, and I thought he was really, really good in it. I love John Hamm when he really gives into the gritty griminess.
His best non-H&R Block commercial of the year. Performance of the year.
But man, and Edgar Wright is just...
He's great.
He's a master. He knows what he I think, as much as anybody else as a director, he knows what he intends to accomplish with each movie, and he delivers on that time and time again. So, great script, great soundtrack. And have been playing that for months in the car, and it's going to be one that I think I will happily revisit at any point over the next 10 years.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun for me.
Very, very good.
That's it, guys.
This is it.
We put a bow on it. It's only 7 hours long.
We did. I'm done with this year. I'm excited about 2018 and what it can provide. but I have only optimism. We had pessimism going into 2017. We're like, oh, it's going to be rough. And it ended up being better than we expected.
Absolutely.
So that really good.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you're still listening, you're not a VIP, join the VIP club for some fun throwbacks. And we're throwing back for the next couple months
stuff
until the Oscars. We might still do a couple of these episodes.
I think we need to do Phantom Thread and Darkest Hour, maybe.
We'll do Call Me By Your Name is one we'll do for the VIPs, probably. So check that out. But Brian, where can we find you online?
You can find me on the Twitter, at bgill12. You can find my writing at madaboutmoviespodcast.com. And I've put up something last week on the blog, and I've got another couple of things coming this week. And then also check out the Mad About Movies newsletter, which will be coming out in February, and we've got some cool Oscar coverage coming your way. So, Richard, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Richard Barden or at Mad About Movies Podcast or Mad About Movies Podcast newsletter. And Kent, where can I find you?
Online, on Twitter at Kent Garrison. Please leave us 5 stars if you like what you hear.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Please stay tuned for the rest of the year. We'll be back again next year to do the same episode of 2018.
Enjoy.
Get excited about our Oscars post-game show, which we will do kind of to summarize the year after the Oscars, too. So there's one more conversation to be had about this year, and that will come the night of the Oscars. Stay tuned for that. So thank you for joining us.
Awesome.
And until next year, until next time, see you at the cinema.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, baby, I hear the blues are calling. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. And maybe I seem a bit confused. Yeah, maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. Scrambled eggs all over my face.
They're making me yah-yah. Your salads and scrambled eggs.
They're calling again.